username.
DK Singh.
नेम से सर आप इस यूजर नेम से नहीं दिख रहे हैं इसमें.
We cannot see you, sir, with your username. Can you please tell us your username?
That is email ID.
साहब आप अपने आप को देख पा रहे हैं क्या?
मैं नहीं देख पा रहा हूँ अपने आप को.
Actually, sir, here
पहले भी एक दिन बनाई थी ना, तो वो देख लाल रंग का डिब्बा को वहीं पे गैस के पास.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think your name appears here with India, sir. Can you, sir, please tell me your
name? The user ID is given to me is India. Yes.
ठीक है okay.
Okay. Yes.
देखिए ये इंडिया वाला है यहाँ पे.
Yes, sir. I let me tell my teammates to make.
I logged in with that user ID and the password.
That is okay, sir. No issue.
Sir, I request you to please share your screen meanwhile with your PPTs.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we are making you co-host.
Yeah, it's visible. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
तब तक kindly introduce कर दीजिए सर को.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Just a minute. Let me open again.
Full screen कर दीजिएगा.
Okay, sir. Allow me to introduce you again.
Just give me a minute. Let me just.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Just open the right side.
अपलोड हो गया था सर.
सर
हो गया था फिर से
कोई बात
हो गया.
First speaker of our today's fourth day of our workshop Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, please continue. Please.
Okay. So today we welcome our first speaker, Professor DK Singh. He is a professor, Division of Agricultural Engineering and Principal Scientist, Water Technology Center, IIRI. He did his MSc and PhD from IIRI, New Delhi. He was a visiting researcher at International Institute for Land Reclamation and Improvement, Netherlands. He has more than 25 years of teaching and research experience in the area of soil and water conservation engineering, land and water management engineering. He has more than 75 publications in highly reputed journals and books. He has received many prestigious awards, including Jawaharlal Nehru Award. He is the chief editor of Agricultural Engineering today. Sir, would you able to share your screen?
Yes, sure. It's visible, I suppose.
हाँ बिल्कुल सर.
Yes,
इसको
sir.
full screen
Yes,
कर
sir.
दीजिए सर please.
Okay. Now I think it's all right, no?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. It's completely visible and you are audible. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Over to you.
Okay. So good morning to all of you. Let me first thank the university for giving me this opportunity to give lecture on important topic, that is on drought. As you know, the drought has been a recurring phenomena in India, and it has been hitting India often and now. I mean, almost every alternate year or after 2 or 3 years, one or another part of the country will be hit by the severe drought. So, and it has been hitting since centuries, and we have been doing a lot. Government has also been doing a lot. Research institution has also been doing a lot. But still, we have not really completely drought-proof our country. So with this background, let me just come to the topic. As we know, the drought has many definitions. If you look at the literature, you will find that more than 150 definitions were given to the drought way back in 1980s itself. So that is the complexity with the drought, that every person, every institution, every organization, every country, by and large, they define the drought as per their convenience and as per their need. And then, of course, the basic things about the drought remain same, that it is the moisture deficiency in the soil and atmosphere, which affects the human, animal, and plant life on the earth. So the basic, the common thing with each definition definitely must be that it is the moisture deficiency in soil and earth system, soil and atmospheric system. Uh, there have been number of indices have been developed to monitor the drought again by our country as well as by other countries, but again they are used in different ways and depending on their requirement. uh, and then I shall be not covering more about the indices. I will be briefly covering about what are the different indices, but I will be focusing mostly on major types of drought, that is hydrological drought, meteorological drought, hydrological drought, and agricultural drought. There could be several other types of drought. As I said, there are 150 definitions, and then somebody may call ecological drought, somebody may define in terms of economical drought and all that. But I'll be focusing more on meteorological, hydrological, and agricultural drought, more particularly on agricultural drought, because the topic is the impact of drought on agriculture and its amelioration. So with this background, I stayed here because the time may not be permitting me to cover almost all the aspects, because as I said, there are 150 definitions and there may be as many amelioration measures also. So I'll be focusing more on the topic given on that. Let me come to the second slide. As defined in numerous ways based on the regional reported in early 1980s. There is no universal definition to the drought. Just let me minimize. Okay. There is no universal definition, universally accepted definition that can be encapsulated into complexity of the drought, and there is no indicator or index which can precisely forecast the advent and severity of the drought. That's another complexity in this phenomena, that a particular index cannot define or cover almost all the aspects of drought. Then drought is the consequence of natural reduction in the amount of the precipitation over an extended period of time, usually a season or more in length, often associated with with other climatic factors like high temperature, high winds, and low relative humidity that can aggravate the severity of the drought. Meteorological, and coming to the meteorological drought, because that's the first and core important type of drought, because it's the meteorological phenomena which provide water to the earth and soil, to the plant, and to everybody. So let us just go, let us define the meteorological drought first. The meteorological drought is classified based on the rainfall deficiency with respect to the long-term average. That is, if it is less than 25% of the normal, or 26 to 50% the normal, depending on that, we will classify it as a severe or moderate drought. Dryness, that is in comparison to the normal or average amount, and the duration of the dry period. It must consider regional deficiency in the precipitation, as they are highly variable from region to region. Let me just briefly touch on a point which is very important, which again I shall be covering in subsequent slide. That many times when we talk of the drought, we talk at the regional level or country level or state level. We forget about farmer. Even individual farmer also suffers from the drought. Even in a village also, there are 10 farmers, 20 farmers, 50 farmers. Then the severity of the drought or drought experiences of the different farmers will be different. In the same village, a farmer may experience drought, but another person in the same village who is rich or who has all resources, he may not experience the drought. So we have to include such aspects also while defining the drought, because so far we had been defining the drought at district level or state level or country level, but we have forgotten the farmers, because each and every farmers contribute to the production, agricultural production in the country. So we have to go to that level when we talk drought in future. Hydrological drought is the deficiency in the surface and subsurface water supplies, leading to the lack of water for normal and specific need. Such conditions arise even in the times of average precipitation, when increased usage of water diminishes the that very often happens. Again, I will give an example that many times when we consider the standard precipitation index to classify the drought, we will see in the subsequent slide. Then we define the drought in terms of the precipitation deficiency many times on the annual basis, many times on the seasonal basis. Even let's say let us consider the seasonal basis itself. Then when we define the drought on seasonal basis also, there could be possibility that the month of July, when monsoon normally start by and large in the country, July, August, and September, these are the months which are considered the active months for the monsoon. And then even in the month, let's say there is a very good rainfall in the beginning of the July when monsoon starts, arrives. And then for 15-20 days, like this year in Eastern Uttar Pradesh, in many districts of Eastern Uttar Pradesh, you will find there is heavy rainfall in the beginning of the monsoon itself. It may against the mass conservation, total amount of water vapors which are available due to the long period of hot summer are constant. So they may even fall in Eastern Pradesh, or they may travel up to the Delhi or up to Haryana or up to other parts of the country. So if there is heavy downpour in the beginning of the monsoon itself in some part of the country, that is my experience, maybe in the subsequent fortnight or after a month, we'll see that other part of the country they are receiving little lesser rainfall. And that may happen even in that particular district also. If heavy rainfall has taken place in the July, and then maybe the next fortnight of the July there is no rain, and in August there is no rain, so crop has been transplanted. Good transplanting, a large area under cultivation has come up, but maybe because of the moisture deficiency or rainfall deficiency in the August itself, most of that crop, that suffers from the moisture stress, and then at that very stage, if it suffers from the moisture stress, then definitely there is going to be severe reduction in yield. So these monthly variations also need to be considered. Probably maybe kind of a monthly SPIs, standard precipitation index, will be better for long-term forecasting of the drought. That will be seen again in subsequent slides. Hydrological drought is associated with the effects of period of precipitation, including shortfalls of the surface and subsurface water supply in the stream, reservoir, lake, etc. And then the frequency of the severity of the hydrological drought is often defined on watershed or river scale. Coming to the agricultural drought, which is the topic for the today's presentation, it's again the soil moisture. Ultimately, all kind of drought, they culminate to the moisture deficiency. If there is meteorological drought or hydrological drought, they will ultimately result in the soil moisture deficiency in the field, because farmer will not be able to get irrigation water from reservoir or canal, or there is no rain in rainfed area. So again, there is no moisture available in the moisture which supports the plant growth, or which gives us the better or good yield. So basically, the soil moisture deficiency leads to the agricultural drought, and which ultimately leads to the poor crop growth and yield. It may lead to total drying of the crop and even zero yield. Impact of meteorological hydrological drought on agricultural drought, focusing on precipitation shortage, differences between actual and potential evapotranspiration, soil water deficit, reduced groundwater or reservoir level. These are all the causes for agricultural drought. In fact, the meteorological and hydrological drought, they are the root cause for the agricultural drought, in addition to, of course, the soil and plant type. That they are also associated with the drought phenomena. It accounts for the variable susceptibility of crop during different stages of crop development. Deficient topsoil moisture at the planting may hinder the germination, leading to the low plant population and reduction in yield. If the topsoil moisture is sufficient at early growth stages, as I was mentioning earlier, deficiency in subsoil moisture at the early stage may not affect the final yield. If subsoil moisture is replenished the subsequent stages, or if rainfall meets the plant water needs. However, if soil moisture at later stages of the crop growth is not enough, even though it was enough at the initial stages, then agricultural drought will definitely be there, and it will cause a reduction in yield. This slide I have taken from the University of Nebraska. They are very good. I mean, they are developing the drought monitor, national NDMC. They are National Drought Monitoring Center at University of Nebraska. They have developed a drought monitor for United States of America, that is being used also. As per them also, it is basically the meteorological and hydrological and agricultural drought which are socio-economic and ecological drought. You can see here in this slide that these are the natural variability in atmosphere which causes the precipitation deficiency, and then associated with high temperature, high wind, low relative humidity, greater sunshine and less cloud cover results in reduced infiltration, runoff, deep percolation and groundwater recharge. This ultimately causes agricultural as well as hydrological drought, and then increased evapotranspiration. So these all are these natural because of this phenomena is categorized as a meteorological drought, which is resulting from the natural climate variability. Again, this meteorological drought leads to the soil moisture deficiency, which ultimately affects the plant growth due to the plant water stress and reduces biomass and yield. So this again comes meteorological drought and then agricultural drought, and then we have hydrological drought, which is the reduced stream flow, inflow, because if there is less and less precipitation or rainfall for the many years, if there is continuous drought or continuous deficiency in the rainfall for few years, then again we'll see that the stream will be drying, and then groundwater recharge would not be taking much, and then ultimately it will result in drying of groundwater aquifer, streams, reservoirs, wetland, etc. So this all are hydrological drought. Hydrological drought by and large is the drought on long-term basis. So major causes of drought in India, there are considerable annual seasonal regional variations. You can see that the rainfall variation in the country is from about 76 to 100 millimeter in Rajasthan to 1,100, 11,000 millimeter in Cherrapunji. So this spatial and temporal variation is the major cause of drought, and that is why one or another part of the country is affected by drought almost every year. And then southwest monsoon is acting only for 100. Another reason is see that southwest monsoon, which contributes about 73% of the total annual rainfall of the country, is acting only for 100 days. And then because of the geohydrological conditions in many of the regions, it is not possible for us to store entire that water which is coming in these 3 months in our storage reservoir, because we have not built up. We have not built a large reservoir because of certain environmental concerns. Many big projects they are pending, and also we have not gone for large scale, small water harvesting structure at regional level. So because of that, we are not able to store the 73% of the rainfall which occurs in 100 days in our territory, and then uneven distribution of rainfall, then low average annual rainfall of 750 is another thing. Almost country receives low rainfall, that less than 750 millimeters. So that's another reason for recurring drought, because we have not developed our infrastructure at part to Israel. I will quote an example of Israel, where they receive even 25 millimeters of rainfall in some part of the country, and then average rainfall in that country is about 500 millimeter or so, but they don't suffer from the drought. In fact, in 2015, when there was severe meteorological drought in Israel, even at that time, they had at the country level, they have the water surplus. So that's how they are managing. So we have to probably go for that kind of thing that we'll discuss in subsequent slide. And over exploitation of the groundwater and suboptimum conservation and storage capacity of surface water leads to the inadequate water availability for irrigation, particularly in the years of rainfall deficiency. Limited irrigation coverage. That's another thing why we have not been able to drought-proof our country, that so far only 50% of the area, less than 50% of the area is irrigated. We have been able to provide only irrigation to only less than 50% of the area. Vast cultivated area is under rainfed condition. So in any case, if it is agriculture is rainfed condition, and then because of the variability and distribution of the rainfall, you cannot expect those areas to perform better. They will always be under drought condition. So large area, okay. And then you can see that this map, prepared by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers paper very clearly shows that if you go look at the drought frequencies last 15-20 years, that is from 2000, 2000 to 2015, in the last 15 years, almost very few area, these white patches, wherever you see the white patches here, they are the only area where there was no drought. Otherwise, by and large, entire country has experienced the drought of whether whether extreme drought or moderate drought or maybe lesser severe drought, but the entire country has experienced drought. The frequency of drought is also very good. In some of the area you can see that in the last 15 or 12 years were drought. Like this particular patch, we can see there are the drought. There were about 11 to 12 years drought out of 15 years. So this is the kind of this is the frequency of drought, and then you can imagine that how the drought has been affecting to our overall economy in the country. Impact of drought, it reduces agriculture production, shortage of water in reservoir, in groundwater. Drought affects the overall economy of the country, falling agriculture production and heightened food insecurity among the poor, particularly in the vulnerable section, shortage in water resources, reduction in farmer system income. This is the major concern for our government. In fact, we are trying to double the farmers' income, but until unless we go for complete amelioration of drought, it will be a bit difficult for us to double the farmers' income, because the drought directly hits the farmers' income. Increased prices for food and fodder, that everybody knows that even a kind of hoax call or some kind of even very unrealistic reporting at the early stages that the monsoon is not coming, is going to come in the time. The prices of certain commodities start rising up. That's a very common phenomenon. It happens. So reduction in purchasing capacity and slump in the consumption, higher livestock and wildlife mortality, cattle and animal migration, damage to ecosystem from indiscriminate exploitation, increase in fire hazard, etc. So key variable which one should monitor, which Government of India in fact is has advised the agencies to monitor, is the meteorological data, that rainfall and other parameters like temperature, wind speed, relative humidity, etc. Weather forecast, short, medium, and extended range weather forecast. Soil moisture, which is not happening at all. It is happening only at the research institution, but this is the main parameter which need to be monitored at country level regularly, because this is the soil moisture which supports the plant and production. So that is what we have not been able to do. This need to be strengthened. Then of course sown area, satellite-based vegetative index, that's used for yield monitoring, how much yield is going to be reduced because of the drought condition. Then stream flow, again groundwater levels, these are all being done regularly. In fact, we have put network of monitoring hydrological data nowadays in the country under National Hydrology Project supported by World Bank. Reservoir and lake storage level, impact, distress, sale and migration of cattle, human migration, fodder availability, water, animal. This is all the impact, how the drought affects different activities or component in our country. And then what are the variables need to be monitored. Of course, I will be skipping these indexes because I will lose my time. These are well known. This is available in almost all literature. If some of you are interested, I can mail to organizer and then they can distribute among you. I have downloaded several literature. That's standard precipitation index, reservoir storage index, normalized precipitation index. These are used for monitoring the drought. But okay, that's fine that there are some indices which are available for monitoring, but what to do with the monitoring? Let's say we have, through all these indices, we have told the farmer that yes, there is drought, but what farmer has to do with that? Farmer cannot get water. If there is no water, what he will do? So ultimately, some of these indices should be used to develop long-term strategy for drought proofing. Let's say SPI. If we, through standard precipitation indices, we know that which country is facing drought regularly. So knowing that, we should develop infrastructure in that part of region. Either take water from surplus area to that region, or go for rainwater harvesting if there is enough rain, and all kind of things. So monitoring these indices, they are fine for academic exercises, but these indices can be put into reality only when we develop the infrastructure based on this. That's why I'm skipping these indices, because you can get through literature also. I will touch upon this PSDI based drought projection, which NOAA and then some American agencies they are using it for, because they consider the moisture also in this. These drought indices are based on the water supply, demand, and soil moisture, and they give better assessment. PSDI is used to, you can see one example that how they have used the PSDI in United States of America for day-to-day monitoring. They are using 3 months data. You can see that this is the condition on April 22 in 2018, using moisture and then precipitation. All this is they have classified and they have projected that how what is going to happen on June 30th, 2018. Using all this, they have gone for daily budgeting of water, precipitation, moisture, and all. They have ultimately projected that that this is going to be the drought situation in United States. You can see, compare these two figures. Here there are many green patches on April 28, but based on all this, they have found that these green patches have reduced. It means some area is going to be under drought on June 30. So these kind of projection will help a lot. If you are able to predict in advance, 3 or 4 months in advance, then probably it will help the farmers to go for diversification or select the certain crops which require less water. So drought mitigation measure, these are the big list of drought mitigation measures available in the drought manual published in 2016 by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. I'll be touching some of these measures which we have done ourselves. Drought amelioration, coming to how to ameliorate drought monitoring for long-term planning. We have discussed that how the drought monitoring can help us in long-term planning. Then early warning system for planning and seasonal agricultural activities. Improved water management in rain-fed and irrigated agriculture system at farm level, irrigation system, and catchment level, national level, or rivers basin. In fact, being in agriculture institute, my focus will be more on this. I will just spend a minute on this. At the farm level also, our overall irrigation efficiency and canal irrigated area is just 35%. I have reviewed the several projects of major irrigation projects in India. Some projects in India, they are performing as low, their overall irrigation efficiency as low as 18% and highest is 61%. So definitely there is possibility to improve, take the 18% to the, if not to 61% level, at least we can go up to the 50% level, which is only 35% on an average basis. So there is enough scope to save water, and with that saved water, we can bring more and more area under irrigation, and that is what was the aim of the PMKSY, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sahay Yojana. And then now the government of India has launched aspirational district program where they are making a complete inventory of water resources available at the village level. So these kind of schemes certainly will help a lot in the future. And similarly, in the groundwater irrigated area, the groundwater contributes about 61%, more than 61%, 61 to 62% in net irrigated area of the country. And the irrigation efficiency in groundwater irrigated area is about 50 to 55%, which can easily be taken to 75%. We have done one research, one study, and farmers will found that it can easily be taken to 75%. Then huge saving of water. Again, this water can be used in the drought year. If the groundwater is saved this year, then definitely there is drought next year. So that water can be used in the next year. So these kind of approaches are required now. And then of course, national and river basin level Ministry of Water Resources, and then is definitely taking care of all these big aspects. Water management under rain-fed agriculture should be given priority, because about more than 50% area is under rain-fed condition, and we have not yet been able to really develop a strategy at the country level. We have isolated success stories here and there, but definitely there isn't a complete plan for country that which area should go for which kind of water harvesting structure, where there in certain area the groundwater recharge structure will not be at all feasible. If somebody is planning groundwater recharge structure in Rajasthan, where the water table is about 400 500 feet below, and the rainfall is only 150 to 200 millimeter in Jaisalmer area and that area, how do you expect that there will be groundwater recharge? All this infiltrated water will remain within top 1 or 2 meter layer, and that will be lost through evapotranspiration. So we have to think on this aspect also, that which area is suitable for which kind of structure. The groundwater recharge structure will not be successful everywhere. Similarly, the rainwater harvesting pond will not be successful everywhere. We have to go for a kind of hydrologic zoning. We have to do a kind of hydrologic zoning for entire country, and then we have to come up with a kind of structure that this area is suitable for this structure, this type of strategy should be followed in this area. So, and then water management under irrigated agriculture, I have already touched upon. There is enough scope to improve the irrigation efficiency, on-farm irrigation efficiency, particularly in irrigation canal command. Now, drought amelioration, then drought resistance. Again, simultaneously, we can bring in some, introduce the drought resistance varieties. A lot of agriculture universities, even our institute is working on developing the drought resistance varieties. Certainly, that will be good thing or a good thing in the future if we get drought resistance variety release for different crops. And then improved irrigation schedule. This again, so far it has been considered only as an academic exercise. This has to percolate down to the farmer's field level. Efficient irrigation method, they are available, slowly reaching to the farmer, but yes, it will take some time to reach there, but it's one of the good options. And then crop diversification, if there is early warning system, through early warning system or drought monitoring are able to tell that this year, this month are going to suffer or there will be deficient rainfall in this month, then definitely the farmer can plant the crop in the beginning itself. In place of more water requiring crop, he can go for other crops. And then ensuring stakeholders participation, that is must. Now let us see some of the success stories. This is the study which we did in Muzaffarnagar at the farmers field, and we found that with proper irrigation scheduling and then proper leveling, and then if you replace all open channel, you can see here, this device, this structure is called a hydrant. Below this we have buried the pipe at the 3 feet depth. So all along the field in entire village we had installed the irrigation pipe, and then the water is taken up through the hydrant, and then we have provided the control valve. And then along with this control valve, we have provided farmers with some lapeta pipe also, they call it in local language. And then precise amount of water is being applied. We have given training to the farmers, and we are so happy. Now, this was our research project. In fact, now farmers are planning to install this kind of system, spending their own money, and that doesn't cost much. It will be some 70 to 80,000 rupees per hectare, but there will be some substantial saving in water, increase in agriculture production, and all that. So, and then we can see here that irrigation efficiency can very well be taken from 55% to 75%. This is our study. This is one of the PhD students' work. And then we are very confident that irrigation efficiency can be increased up to 75%. This is another study we have undertaken in Chandoli district, where we are replacing this farm open channel. We have introduced the sprinkler irrigation in that area, and you know that efficiency of sprinkler irrigation is about 75 to 80%. And then in comparison to this, more and more area can be irrigation as the water resources. That's again a rainfed region. Only some stream water which is available here and there, or some water in the pond is being used for cultivation. So with this sprinkler, they are able to grow better crop. And then of course the farmers are very much interested. They were not interested in the beginning, but once we provided them training, they came forward and they have started using it. Now this is the rainwater harvesting pond in one of the tribal villages of Mirzapur district, where initially they were not sparing land for construction of pond. Now, after 3-4 ponds were constructed, looking at the benefit of these ponds, they have come forward they are coming forward to give their land for construction of pond. This example of convergence. In fact, another problem in the drought proofing of the country is the convergence. There are several departments: Ministry of Water Resources, Agriculture Ministry, Ministry of Rural Development, then State Agriculture Department, State Irrigation Department, so many other parallel departments working on this aspect. Even Forest Department also works on rainwater harvesting and rainwater harvesting, but none of them, they sit together and work for each other. When we selected a village in Gaya district of Bihar, which is a very difficult village, and then it's difficult to reach in that. I will not mention other regions why it was difficult to reach. But when we went there, we have to come out in any case before 4 o'clock. So farmers were not at all willing to even sit again and again to an we approached them, and then we discussed the entire plan. Then we discussed with They said, no, we will not go to that village. We never visited that village. It will be difficult for us to go for large scale construction. But still, we convinced. I knew one person, so we convinced, and then we took them there, and then we did not spend any money from our project. It was just our advice and little bit technical advice, and then money was spent by the soil conservation department Bihar, which they can't be government is bringing green roads in eastern region. So from that they constructed a bore pond and then several check dam in that village. Now the village is saturated. I mean, entire village is getting enough water. Similarly, in the hilly region, a lot of streams are there where there will be water. It is very difficult to use the water directly from the stream, but if you connect the stream, through a lateral pipe to a tank constructed adjacent to the stream, then in this tank will get filled. It will remain filled throughout the year. This low discharge of the stream may not be through low discharge of the stream, you will not be able to use it directly. But once there is enough water available in the pond, this pond can be diverted to the downhill under gravity, and that's what the farmers in Himachal Pradesh are doing. Similarly, one project in Himachal Pradesh where you can see that the stream is completely dry in the month of March. But I knew from my experience that there will be enough subsurface flow if you go deeper in this bed of the stream. We install a HL plume there. Of course, purpose was hydrologic monitoring, but in the process of installing HL plume and digital stress level recorder in that location, we found that this much water was available in the month of March and April. So you can see this was going as a subsurface flow, but this much water, it was almost more than 2-inch water, what we call in the local language. It was enough to irrigate 3-4 hectare, and that 3-4 hectare is a good area in the hilly region. In Kerala and other regions.
Hello. I think Dr. Singh has lost his connection. Hello. Sir, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Singh this side from Raipur.
Okay. Just a second, sir. Just a second.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, actually, I apologize for that because right now Dr. DK Singh is giving his lecture. So I
Okay,
think
no problem.
he lost his connection. So we'll resume to you once we get finished with him.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
I hope you understand, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think Dr. DK Singh has lost his connection. We are connecting him. I request all the participants to be patient and be connect with us. Hello. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello. Sir, can you hear me? Please reply.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
I'm able to hear you. I'm able to hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I had last connection in between. I do not know. There was some problem. So still there is some few minutes left for me, or it's
Yes, sir.
over?
Yes, sir. Sir, please continue, sir.
Okay, okay. So this I was talking about the subsurface dike, which are very much which are very popular in hilly region, particularly in Kerala. I have seen in Kerala personally myself that what they do, they construct surface come subsurface dike. You can see here that some portion is below ground level and some portion is above ground level, and then plenty of water which is flowing as a base flow can be obstructed here, and then lot of water is available upstream sides, which can be taken out for drinking purposes through hand pump, or like this kind of structure, or even for irrigation. In fact, they are using it for irrigating spice crop in their area. Now, the another important thing which I wanted to discuss was about the hydrological health study. In fact, in the beginning, I mentioned that we need to do a kind of hydrological zoning at the country level. We have undertaken a study in Bundelkhand region, which falls almost under Betwa Basin. In fact, all some districts they are out of Bundelkhand region, but there are about 14 districts which are under Bundelkhand region, and they are very much covered under this basin. And what we are doing here, we are developing a kind of we are doing a kind of vulnerability mapping where we are identifying the water vulnerable zone, and then in that zone, what kind of recharge structure, whether groundwater recharge structure or surface recharge structure, surface water harvesting structure has to be implemented based on the rainfall data available, and then geomorphology, and then based on the hydrologic drought index which we have developed. And we know that the Bundelkhand region, by and large, if you ask somebody, anybody would say the Bundelkhand region is a chronically drought affected area. Even though the long-term average rainfall in that region varies from 900 to 1100 millimeter. Even though the rainfall is moderately good, but still it suffers from severe drought. And the region is geomorphological conditions, and then until unless we study hydrological, we do some kind of hydrological investigation to find out what are the region, and then what should be the structure, which kind of structure will be appropriate in that region, we cannot succeed. So we undertook this study there, and then what we are doing here, here I was mentioning that you can see in spite of good rainfall measure, a part of the basin is water vulnerable due to undulated and poor hydrologic conditions. The specific yield in that region is very poor, that is 5% or less in most part of this region, and that's why the groundwater recharge is not enough or adequate to, and then rapid flow of surface runoff to the stream because of undulated topography, lots of rainfall flows away the surface runoff. And then I was mentioning that rainfall, normal rainfall is 991 millimeter. By any means, this rainfall is good enough to drought-proof this region. But because of certain conditions, because we have not done a detailed hydrological investigation in this area, we are not able to develop a detailed, a complete strategy. So we just made an attempt. What we are doing here, we have assessed the surface runoff and groundwater recharge potential using models like SWOT and MARFlow. Of course, these were calibrated and validated before they were put in use and do the prediction. And then you can see here that we have characterized the area into different runoff zone. And then we developed a composite hydrologic index based on the soil type, slope, rainfall and precipitation ratio, and evapotranspiration. These are four major component which control the water availability in a particular region. And then the results showed that a good groundwater recharge potential in mixed forest region is region due to the destruction of the sandy clay loam soil with high infiltration ability than the clay and clay loam soil. Though there are patches, there are regions in this area where the groundwater recharge can be enhanced. However, there are certain regions where groundwater recharge will not be feasible. And more than half of the area has high runoff potential and is suitable for rainwater harvesting and groundwater recharge structure. And then based on all this, you can see that we have identified, we have classified the hydrological indices in 4 groups, that very good and moderate and low category. And based on that, these green dots, you can see these are the suitable sites for rainwater harvesting structure. So these kind of studies should be replicated in other regions. This is one example. Similar study we can take where we can estimate the runoff potential, already know the rainfall, we know the soil loss. A lot of studies are available about the geohydrological conditions in that area, and we can prepare a different thematic map, and then these maps can be overlaid over each other, and then we can identify we can delineate the hydrological response unit, and then in each unit what should be the appropriate type of the structure that can be very well suggested. So this is a kind of exercise which we call it hydrological zoning also. Of course, the special temporal analysis and drought indices and all this we are doing. This is not yet complete. How the Israel is defining the drought. Let me, there is 2-3 minutes still available. I can tell that drought in Israel in 1960s was we were in 1947. Israel also got independence somewhere in 1948. We also got in 1947. In 1960, we know the Israel receives very less rainfall. It was all barren land with them. They did not have any clue what to do with this much rainfall. Now they are leading agriculture nation in the world. Though the area is very small, it cannot be replicated at or it cannot be compared with India. But still, at least if we select a patch in Rajasthan, similar to Israel, let's say Israel also by and large falls in desert area or in less rainfall category, or less rainfall receiving nation, and then we select a patch similar to Israel. We can have many Israel in our country, but if we select one Israel and replicate what all they have done in Israel in one area, many companies, many private companies will come and support under their CSR, and then see that how we can replicate the success story of Israel in India. What they have done in 1960s, one gentleman who was traveling from Poland to Israel, he traveled all along Israel, and he found that there was a tree which was growing very well in the desert, but there were many other trees which were not growing as good as other tree. He found that there was a pipeline passing through the tree, and there was leakage in that pipeline. Exactly that pipeline was adjacent to that tree. So water was leaking drop by drop and supplying water to that tree, and the tree was growing well. From that, he got the clue, and then what we have in the form of drip irrigation, it comes from that only. Though of course we also claim that India is also pioneering in drip irrigation. We also have our story, but this story sounds very good because there is a literature to support this. And the story of this success was published in CS Monitor, which is a journal, magazine in 2015. They say that Israel has done 3 things: utilizing the available water resources very efficiently through drip, sprinkler, or any other efficient method, wastewater treatment, which we also can do, and then desalinization of seawater, which probably in India it will be very difficult and it's costly also, because we cannot directly replicate that as of now. If situation demands, we can go in future. Already we have started a desalination plant in Tamil Nadu in Minjur area. But efficient water utilization can very well be replicated in India also. So I will end my, I will end my talk with this, that can we replicate the success story of Israel at least in one patch of India somewhere which is similar to Israel. So with this, I think I thank you all. Drought, as I said, is a very complex phenomena. There are many aspects of drought, many aspects of drought. I have covered a very small portion of that, focusing more on amelioration aspect. I have not covered much or other at all about the drought monitoring, about the various indices, what are the different drought monitor developed in the world as well as in India, and in our IRI also we are developing, our center is developing ground monitor. So I have not touched on those aspects at all. Looking at the time constant, I focus more on amelioration aspect. With this, I thank you all for patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you. I'm
sir.
done.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this valuable session. Sir, we have received a
Yes.
number of questions from our participants.
Sure.
So, if you allow me to, sir.
Yes, please go ahead. I'll
Okay,
be
sir.
available.
So the first question from our participants is, how effective can river interlinking be a dealing with drought?
I didn't. Please, will you repeat it again?
How effective can river interlinking be in dealing with drought?
Engineering.
In dealing with drought.
In dealing with
River
drought.
inter. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ये कहाँ से हो गया?
Drought. How effective we had been in dealing with the drought? No, that's what your question is.
Yes, sir. River interlinking.
River linking, huh?
Yes, sir.
River linking is a very big project. If I remember correctly, it was initiated, or at least some thought was given on river linking way back in 70s. At different states, different government, they have come vigorously, aggressively for river linking. Even this government also has aggressed in the first spell. That is when this government came in 2014. Again, they initiated work on the river linking. But again, in the case of river linking, it's not that easy. Also, a complete hydrological investigation, as I said, has to be done, because water has to be conveyed from surplus area to deficit area. And very often we talk that why not to take the water which is available in Bihar, which is always flooded during monsoon season, to Telangana or Madhya Pradesh or those regions. Now you can imagine that elevation difference between Patna and then Telangana, where it has to be taken. Just for example. So if you are thinking a project at this big level, then definitely we need to do a lot of studies, lot of hydrological studies has had to be done, and studies are being done also. Ministry of Water Resources has already started doing studies on this aspect, because it will require several stages pumping. You have to take it against the gravity, and then pumping would be required. How much energy would you require, from where the energy would come, so that all things are there. But river linking at a smaller scale has already started taking place. Like recently, about 3 years back, if I remember, Ken Betwa link was made operational, and then in fact the water from that is supposed to come into my own district also. So this is small at a small level, regional rivers are being linked, and then there are already 1 or 2 examples. But at the large scale, definitely it will take some time.
Okay, sir.
That's what probably they wanted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The second question is, how groundwater recharge plays significant role in agricultural activities.
Groundwater recharge, in fact, as I said, in country about 62% area net irrigate 62% of the area is irrigated by groundwater. What it means that the contribution of groundwater in net irrigated area is about 62%. So you can see that almost, and then contribution of the canal irrigation is just 29%, 26 or 29%. I think it is 29%. So you can see, though on the name of irrigation we see this only canal irrigation, because irrigation के नाम पर लोगों को लगता है canal irrigation, but reality ये है, the reality is that it is the groundwater which is contributing a lot, and then that groundwater is coming from the recharge only. And then what has been happening in last few years, last few decades rather, after 1985 or so, that in any area, the ideal condition would be that groundwater pumping should be restricted to the annual groundwater recharge. That is, in any case, whatever annual recharge is taking place in that area, groundwater pumping should not exceed that to go for sustainable groundwater utilization. But since water demand is increasing for agriculture as well as domestic purposes, so groundwater pumping has been exceeding all these year over the groundwater recharge, so water table has started declining. But the precise answer to this question is the groundwater recharge is playing substantial role in agriculture and irrigation. That is one thing. but it is not sustainable as of now. We have to do something to enhance the groundwater recharge, and enhancing groundwater recharge alone will not be enough. We will not be able to compensate the loss which have already done by over exploitation of groundwater resources through groundwater recharge only. We have to think of something else, that is demand side management. So diversification of the crop is one, and that's what is being planned for Punjab and Haryana. You might have studied, or you might have gone through the reports which are available in last few years, that Haryana has already started putting penalties on rice cultivator, not on rice cultivation, on sowing, transplanting date of the rice. Earlier they were transplanting in the month of April itself, but now they cannot transplant before June 15. If somebody is doing that, he or she is fined, penalized or fined. So this kind of legislation or initiative have started coming up. Let us hope for the best in the future. So groundwater is playing a tremendous role in agriculture and food security in India. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Anyone
Now,
else?
sir, we have the questions. We'll mail you.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Now I request our Dean, sir, Professor H.S. Gaur, sir, to pay vote of thanks to you. Sir, over to you.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Good morning,
sir.
sir.
I'm
Good morning,
really
sir. DK Singh.
DK Singh, thank you very much.
It's good to hear you after so much time. So
Yeah.
we talked on phone.
In fact, Professor DK Singh has been a colleague for almost a quarter century, and I know he's one of the best teachers the IRI has, most appreciated by the students as well as by the fellow faculty. A very cooperative person and done wonderful work in the field of irrigation management and drought management. There can be no better expert to talk in this FDP than Professor D.K. Singh. That's why we requested him, and he very kindly agreed to give this particular webinar at a very short notice indeed. I'm really glad that a wonderful lecture has been given, a lot of information has been given, and a way forward has been given, in fact, to manage the water deficit conditions and drought conditions. And he has given the complete scenario of the entire country and also international position, how this water deficit is happening, is a reality for the future. We cannot be using this luxury of nature to use water indiscriminately anywhere. And this has to be managed. There are excesses, there are some places, but then there are deficits in many other places. And this water management is a need of the hour. And as he talked about the groundwater, the importance of groundwater, we must know that soil is like a bank. You cannot withdraw more money than you deposit into it. And this is what we have been doing. And that's the reason that the water table has been going down, down, down every year by meters, several meters goes down. I remember my childhood when we could get water at just 15, 20 feet. Now, today in the same area, the water is at 300 feet. So all this energy is required to draw that out, as well as there is no water available, there is deficit. On the other hand, the crop growing systems, the farmers many times they think of a crop that can give them maximum profit. Naturally, of course, they are true to their extent, but same time we have to see the resources available. So selection of crops, the selection of agricultural practices is very, very important. And that's what Professor Singh has in fact delineated very much, very, very well. And also the use of technology, the satellites and others, imagery systems, the estimation of waters. The water accounting has to be done, and everybody has to be accountable, whether it's drinking water or the drinking water of the crops, the irrigation water that we call. That is all is important actually. Plants are as important as we are. If there are no plants, we are also not there. So if we need water to drink, plant also need water to drink. And for them, the whole physiology works on that. So it's not on, and there are many other animals and other systems all dependent on that water. And also, if we don't have sufficient water, how will our industry prosper? If we consume entire water in agriculture, we need water for industry also. From where will that come? So all this is important, the conservation of water, proper management of water, and to manage ecosystems which are drought prone, whether by plantation systems or by inducing storing or inducing rains, or by doing some kind of forestation. We have to stop this forestation also, because deforestation particularly happening everywhere. And that's why the rainfalls are going down year by year. So this is all this has to be tackled. So I must thank Professor D.K. Singh again on behalf of the Sharda University, entire Sharda family, as well as on behalf of the NIDM. We have come together to this, and I'm sure IRA will be a partner in this endeavor, and we all can work together. All the participants, I'm sure they must have gained a lot of knowledge, and all this knowledge will be used everywhere in India and abroad, and that will, in fact, cure at least some of the problems that we are facing today. Thank you, Dr. Singh. Again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presence. Now I request our second speaker, Professor Ravikant Singh. His topic is Creating Wealth from Waste, a Biotechnologist Paradigm. Professor Ravikant Singh is a Directorate of Research and Dean, Faculty of Biotechnology and Faculty of Science at Amity University, Chhattisgarh. He has completed his PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. He has more than 20 years of teaching and research experience. He has more than 50 publications in various peer-reviewed journals and is a member of editorial boards of various reputed international journals. His research interests are in the field of environmental biotechnology, bioprocess engineering, and nanobiotechnology. He has also served as a consultant to several industries in the area of environmental biotechnology. I welcome you, sir, and we are looking forward for your valuable talk. Over to you, sir.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Professor Singh, from my side.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Gupta and Gaur, sir. Good morning to one and all present here. I would like to express my gratitude towards the organizers of this FDP workshop, training workshop on the most demanding topic, environment, waste, water, disaster, risk reduction under the adverse situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I hope you all are safe, healthy, and strongly facing this situation. There are two sides of the COVID-19. One is the brighter side and one is the darker side. And I really appreciate the initiative taken by the Sharda University for conducting such kind of FDP to aware, to motivate, to learn the faculty members under this COVID condition also. Last but not least, I would like to say my thanks to my dear friend Dr. Avilasa for inviting me to share my thoughts with the learned faculties or participants of this FDP. I am going to talk on waste management, how the waste can be converted into wealth, and what are the process and how we can do in the proper manner. So what is the role of this biotechnologist and how the biotechnologist can contribute in this regard? I'm talking about this. I am not going to teach anybody because everybody is faculty here. I just sensitize, motivate or inspire the faculty here or the participants here to save our motherland, Mother Earth. First of all, by knowing about how the waste can be converted into wealth, first of all, we must know what is waste. Waste is an unavoidable byproduct of most human activities, and we cannot ignore them also because the human activities will go on so that some useful and some non-useful byproducts will also be released. So such kind of waste must be converted into wealth by certain techniques. The waste can be defined as it may be discarded, rejected, abandoned, unwanted, and surplus matter, and not intent for sale or for recycling, reprocessing, recovery, and the purification. So that our target is by which technique we can convert waste into wealth. That's why what are the type of the waste? There are three types of the waste mainly: solid waste, liquid waste, and the gaseous or gaseous waste. But some wastes are semi-solid also. Some ash contents are also there. Some smells and odors can also adversely affect the environment. And the waste can be be of two parts, non-hazardous and the hazardous waste. For treating that particular waste, the knowing about the waste, either the waste is hazardous or non-hazardous, this is more important thing. That hazardous and non-hazardous waste can come from the household waste also, industrial waste, and agriculture wastes. And I'm talking about the municipal solid waste, hazardous waste, and what kind of sources are there. When we are talking about the municipal solid waste, the organic waste, it may be organic, maybe toxic, maybe soiled, and some recyclable wastes are also there from the municipal solid waste. And hazardous waste will come from the industry and the hospital waste also. And agricultural waste are there from the grain processing, dairy production, fruit, vegetable processing, crop production. Lot of sources are there through which the agricultural waste also come. And these are mostly non-hazardous waste. But that kind of waste, how the waste can be managed? The management of waste having two factors. One is favored condition and another is unfavored condition. The favored condition are, it may be reuse, recycle, compost, and energy recovering process. And the land filling process are normally non-favored or not favored process. So these are the waste management mechanism. I am not talking in detail. Liquid waste, when we are talking about the liquid waste, normally liquid waste also the source are maybe same from manure, from agriculture residue, from industrial, from hospital also. But the major concern of the source of the liquid waste, and that kind of waste, liquid waste, which having grease contents are higher, oil contents and fat contents are there. If that three contents are there in the water, then the biological treatment process becomes difficult, because due to the presence of oil or grease or fat, the oxygen transfer which is required for the growth of microorganisms will reduce. And due to this deficiency in oxygen, the microorganisms can kill and not able to degrade that particular waste. So that first of all, when oil and grease and fats are there, it is required to be removed out from the waste also. The major concerns are there. A lot of concerns are there for treating during this process. Liquid waste characteristics, when we are talking about that type of materials available in that particular waste, that human waste, food waste, and oil and fats, metals, solvent, chemicals, paints, lot of sources are there from which we can characterize. And the liquid wastewater characterization is also important, because by knowing BOD value, COD value, total suspended solid, total dissolved solid, hardness, all the components are also very much important before treating or before converting waste into wealth. Normally, 5R policies for the waste utilizations are using. These are reuse. Can we reuse that particular waste? Recover, reduction, replacement, and recycling. These are the 5R policies, and normally in most of the places for treating, for utilizing, for managing the waste, the 5R policies are normally used. Now I just come and talk about the starch industry waste. What kind of effluents are coming from the starch industry? The starch is the second largest compound produced by plant after cellulose, and normally the waste come from the starch industry is required to be treated. And the characteristics of that particular waste which come from the starch industry, having pH value, COD, BOD, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, having different values in different type of sources also. Just like in corn, COD's values are different. Wheat, potato, when potato source, the washing water having different BOD, COD, processed water having different. You cannot say like that. In the starch industry, we can directly treat any kind of waste First of all, it is required to the chemically analyze the process. What is the BOD value, pH value, COD value, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur, and at which, as per the environment guideline, we must treat that particular waste at certain extent. And I think slide is not moving. Yeah. And when we are going to utilize the starch waste, starch industry utilization of starch industrial effluent, the bioconversion, normally the single cell protein can be produced with the help of some biological process by primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment. First of all, I summarized because you all are faculty, you know what is primary, secondary, tertiary. I am talking about how or from which source, what kind of valuable products can be produced. Single cell proteins can be produced, treating liquid steam for the bioenergy, biofuel, methane can be produced, bioethanol, biohydrogen, biobutanol can also be produced from this kind of waste, from the starch industry waste. I'm talking the primary treatment is the basically physical treatment process. Secondary treatment is the biological treatment, and tertiary is the chemical treatment process. Normally in this, for this starch effluent, in primary treatment, sedimentation and settling tanks are normally used. More or other techniques are also applicable. And the secondary treatment, normally trickling filter, activated sludge process, and anaerobic processes can be used, and normally being used for the secondary treatment or the biological treatment process. The importance of the primary treatment or the physical treatment is, with the help of physical treatment, we are creating such environment, or we are creating the suitable environment for the microorganism for better performance. When any, with the help of physical treatment, that component cannot be treated by the biological process, so that the oil, grease, and fat should be reduced in the primary treatment process. If any suspended particle is there, it should be removed from the primary treatment process, so that the primary treatment process is the process for maintaining the suitable condition for the microbial growth. And when the microorganism grown into the particular environment, it can be effectively treat that particular waste. And the tertiary treatment process normally is the chemical treatment. That component cannot be treated by the biological process. It should be treated by the chemical process also. I'm not talking about in detail, but I think you all know about the primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment and their importance also. So that each and every treatment process are important. Without primary treatment, you cannot go for secondary treatment. Without secondary treatment, you cannot directly go for the tertiary treatment processes. And normally it found that in anaerobic UASB, anaerobic upflow anaerobic sludge blanket reactor, anaerobic lagoons, fixed film reactors, these kind of reactors can be used. And around 70 to 90% of degradation rates are found in most of the starch industrial waste when we are using these processes. Now I am talking about the waste come from the dairy waste. Dairy waste composition, BOD, COD values are different. Here the BOD is gram per liter. It means in mg per liter, it will be 500 to 2000. And normally for the treatment of the waste, it is required before discarding any kind of effluent, the BOD should be near about 30 mg per liter. And here if BOD is 500, is required to be treated. Accordingly, COD, the value should be 250 mg per liter. Here 500, it should be treated. But at which extent, how much reduction is required for discarding the industrial waste after the treatment, it is required to be known. In the dairy waste, the milk, dairy products are there, away from whey, cheese during the cheese production, casein production, having lot of nitrogen and carbon components are there. Directly the whey can be used for the production of any kind of valuable product. Then I'm talking about fruit juice, different compositions are there. In the beverage industry, different compositions are there. For converting waste into wealth, first of all, it is required to analyze with the help of chemistry with the help of chemical people, with the help of the characteristics of that particular water is very much important, so that the target can be achieved as per the requirement. And the distillery unit having in general characteristics, TSS, total suspended solid value is this. It should be removed in primary treatment. BOD value is very high, COD is very high, TDS is also very high. So that by which treatment, the primary treatment, secondary treatment, the valuable products can be produced, the biogas, methane, hydrogen, and PHA can be produced. And normally, most of the places, Darola Sugar Work, Haryana Distillery Unit, Yamunanagar, Sanjeevani, Sakris, Kapargaon, Maharashtra, lot of sugar mill industries are also working in the same area. And the distillery water has enormous potential to produce around 1,200 million cubic meter of biogas also. And normally, most of the distillery units effluents are treated for the production of biogas. But methane can also be produced. That methane is useful for electricity production also. Biohydrogen is very much essential. PHA can also be produced from the distillery waste. When we are talking about the Salter House wastewater, is also a very major problem. And from the Salter water, we can also produce this same products using different techniques. The important thing is what kind of primary treatment is will use for what kind of waste. It is very much important. The selection of primary treatment technique, secondary treatment technique, it is very much important. And here the role of engineer comes, where the role of biotechnologist comes, or any chemical engineer, and chemical engineers are also required for that process to design a reactor also. What kind of reactors are required for that? That process are aerobic or anaerobic, which are preferential. So these components should be analyzed before starting the process. These are the diagrammatical representation how the waste is treated with the help of slurries. Slurries should be mixed with the help of mixtures, and should be recycled also, so that proper treatment can be done. When we are talking about Salter House effluent, the anaerobic degradation and the production of the valuable product, the carbohydrate can be converted into sugar, and sugar can be converted into acetic acid with the help of acidogenic fermentation, acetogenic oxidation, and then after methanogenesis, with the help of methanogenic process, the methane and carbon dioxide can also be produced. The composition of methane and carbon dioxide is called biogas. And separately, we can talk about the methane. If the methane content will higher, then the efficacy of the biogas will better. And the level of carbon dioxide which are reduced during the biodegradation process will also reduce, so that our target to reduce the CO2 level, as well as the increasing the efficacy of the biogas also. Biohydrogen can also be produced from this protein. If protein contents are there, protein can be converted into amino acids, and then volatile fatty acids can be produced, and that volatile fatty acids can be converted into acetic acid. Then methane can also be produced, and from volatile fatty acids, the hydrogens can also be produced. These are the complete chain, and all either from carbohydrate, from protein or lipid, the methanes are going to produce, hydrogens are going to produce, acetic acids are going to produce, and volatile fatty acids are also going to produce. So these are the valuable products, and it can be produced by the with the help of certain specific microorganisms. Now I'm talking about the pharmaceutical waste. Different compositions are there, and the pH values are also a very critical role for the treatment of any kind of waste, so that the pH should also be maintained. Suspended solids can also be interrupt the biological growth, so that suspended particles should also be removed. And in the pharmaceutical waste, normally the primary, the reverse osmosis also come in the second tertiary treatment process. Primary and tertiary treatment process, the GSA absorption normally, evaporation, filtration, sedimentation, flocculation, ion exchange, neutralization, precipitation, and calcinations are normally used for the primary and tertiary treatment process. And in the secondary treatment process, the activated sludge process, lacune, trickling filter. I think everybody knows what is the role or working of the trickling filter, activated sludge process. Every activated sludge process has certain advantages and disadvantages. Trickling filter have also certain advantages and disadvantages, but the selection of that process is important, and the valuable products can be produced by the different techniques. These are the process water and the wastewater treatment. Both are different. Reverse osmosis, distillation, filtration, disinfection are the component, and for the wastewater, pre-treatment, primary treatment, secondary treatment, and the tertiary treatment process. Now I am talking about two-stage bioconversion processes and for energy and biochemical from the waste. This is the organic wastewater. Hydrolysis and acid formation microbial group with the help of microorganisms can be converted into volatile fatty acids, and it can be converted into ethanol, alcohols, any ethanol. These are the intermediates, and these are first stage primary processing. After this, it can be converted into the fine processing in the second stage. It converted into methane, hydrogen. The electricity can also be produced. From methane, the electricity can be produced. From biogas, in most of the plants, the electricities are going to be produced. I will discuss in the earlier slides, next slides, as a case study also, how the electricity can be produced from biogas and methane. And biopesticides can be produced, bioflocculants, biosurfactants, and other valuable products can be produced in the second stage fine processing processes. So that the main thing is that waste are also converted into wealth or the valuable product, which are normally the demand of the society, because the next crisis will either water or electricity. And that water, if we are able to treat wastewater into the drinkable or the normal water, or during that treatment, we produce certain components which are able to produce electricity, I think the major crisis will resolve with the help of techniques. The simplest way and the important thing is that what kind of techniques are required to be used, by which process, the optimization is required. For that optimization, the chemical engineers and the biotechnologists are very much important. Is the role of chemical engineer and biotechnology take a key role for doing all these things. And I'm talking about this, the product methane. These are the exact correct data. I am not talking superficial components. The methane can be produced from these kind of waste type. Such kind of inoculums, anaerobic sludge can be used, and the microorganisms, the consortia can be used for that methane production, and the productivity is 0.15 meter cube methane per kg of COD. Like that, if the source different, the methane production will increase. So these data will help, and I found in the dairy waste, the methane is highest produced. Okay, so that that kind of analysis can be done, and each and every slide will help faculty member for doing research in that particular area. In this FDP, the research scholars are also there. I think my presentation will help for finalizing the synopsis or finalizing the research area in that particular area, component also. The hydrogen can be produced from different sources, and I found olive meal wastewater having maximum production of hydrogen. Such like the electricity in which coffee processing wastewater, in that electricity can produce from any kind of waste type. But when we are using any techniques, the productivity should be higher also. Being an engineer, our role is to optimize the process. If we are going to produce any kind of compound that is commercially viable also. Nowadays, the problem of the research is the research concised in publication itself only. We are not discussing, we are not focusing on the commercial aspects, how the product we are going to produce is this commercially viable or not? Nowadays, government is also promoting such things. And our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji also telling about that, you must focus for local for vocal. It means we can start our own company in that particular source of production also, valuable production, but the commercial aspects should not be neglected. And this, I think we can do in that particular, and we can replace the multinational products also by local products. The PHA producing industry we can establish. PHA can be produced by using this waste. We are going to serve a nation also by treating waste also, and the PHA are going to be produced. What source is beneficial? I think here we can find starch containing wastewater is good for the PHA production. So that we can go for this. Rice, raw rice grain based distillery spent waste can also be used for this. Each and every components the PHA are going to be produced, but highest in which we can analyze or study. The analysis, planning, very much important for any kind of research. And the commercial viability should also be checked. Now I am going to talk about the reuse of palm oil mill effluent. If this kind of effluents are available nearby your place, you can start your own work or producing any kind of product and establish a company also in that particular area. Here the oil and grease contents are very much high. And that oil contents is required to be removed. For that, the advanced physical treatment or primary treatments is required. And maybe the tertiary treatment, the activated carbon can also be used for this reduction. Because in my research, I worked on activated carbon. I developed a biological activated carbon. In that particular, the activated carbon and the microorganisms make a biofilm and create a biologically activated carbon and design a reactor for the betterment of this treatment process, so that we can merge this process, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Nowadays, the era will come in primary treatment, we can merge all these three treatments and create a system. That's why ozone O3 BAC system. O3 ozonation, biologically activated carbon system, the primary, secondary, tertiary treatment both can merge together. At least secondary and tertiary treatment we can merge and make a suitable condition for the treatment, efficient treatment, and high amount of products can be produced by these techniques. Cleaner production, and this one, antibiotics can be produced, bioinsecticides are going to be produced with the help of this Bacillus thuringiensis endotoxins. Solvents can be produced, PHA, organic acid, enzyme, hydrogens. A lot of opportunities are there. You can start your own company for producing hydrogen itself. You can start your company in organic acid. First of all, find out what are the volume of that particular effluent come nearby your place. That place you are going to establish your own company. So that kind of analysis is very much important. I'm talking the case study itself. Another part of the important research in that particular area is the algal biofuel. It's a very important and promising area of research, because the beauty of algal biofuel is algae are simple organisms that typically produce their own food through photosynthesis like plants. It means algae are just like plant, working as a plant. It reduces the level of carbon dioxide from the environment, and the carbon dioxide level will also be reduced. So that the algal biofuels are called second generation biofuels, algae or second generation biofuels. During the photosynthesis, the algae and other photosynthesis organ captured CO2 and sunlight and convert into CO2 and biomass. Biomass is algal biomass. Algal biomass can be used for the valuable product, and oxygen is useful for us, for the human being. It means the algae is the best. From this algae, we can, if we are going to produce any kind of particular product, then we are reducing the level of carbon dioxide also and maintaining the global and reducing the global warming also. What are the advantages of this using algae? Normally you can tell easily that you can produce 300 times more oil per acre than the conventional crop like soybean and groundnut. It means 300 times. I think very big amount of oil can be produced. Why are focusing for plantation itself only? We can focus on algal growth also. We can create a bed. We can create a photo bioreactors also for producing high amount of oil. The beautiful thing is of algae is it can grow 20 to 30 times faster than the food crop in 1 to 10 days. 20 to 30 times faster. It's also very good important point is there. And the third one important advantage is produces 10,000 gallons of oil from single acre of land. So that when we are focusing on commercialization of the biofuel production, we can focus on this algal biofuel production also for the sustainable production, sustainable development of the society, and the level of carbon dioxide will also be reduced. And the major constraints are, some constraints are also there. When you are going to start your research, a lot of constraints will also come. And that constraints are the selection of suitable algal strain having high lipid components is also required for that. And development of cost-effective cultivation. I am always talking about the cost-effective because if your research is not converted into the commercial product or commercial aspect or commercially viable, there is no use, no sense of that particular research, because that research will concise in form of publication, high impact factor 9.8, 10, 11, 12, but the society will not be benefited. So that our aim of research should be in that particular direction, to develop such kind of products which are commercially viable, and we should go for the technology transfer and the patent formation, patenting also. I think publication, patenting is far better than the publication for the benefit of the society. My slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I have a, okay, no problem. कहाँ थे हम? हाँ, the constraint are there. Lot of constraints are there. Then I'm going to talk not in detail, because when we are going to talk about the photobioreactor, one presentation is required for that. So that I am talking about being a engineer, being a chemical engineer or biotechnologist, we can create or we can design a particular bioreactor, photobioreactor, that which the maximum or optimum algal growth can be possible. How the algal growth will possible? We can increase the light intensity by designing that particular photobioreactor. A normal layman can grow by using normal sunlight, but an engineer can develop a photobioreactor for optimum algal growth, and a high amount of products can be produced. So that techniques, the importance of technology is very much important. And from this algae biomass, when the solid waste comes, when we are going to extract oil from the algae, then the solid waste will also come. From that particular solid waste, we can produce fertilizers also. The one part of the research can go in that particular direction. One researcher are producing biofuel and another researcher are producing biofertilizer also. And the research important part is commercially viable. If the research is not commercially viable, no sense is there of the research. The extraction of oil from algal cell. When we are talking about how, by which process maximum oil can be produced, the extraction, here the chemistry involved. Because you cannot directly say that I am a biotechnologist, I am a Superman. No, we cannot say. We need help of chemical engineer also. We need a help of agriculture person also. We need a help of chemistry people also. And we must focus in our organization in multidisciplinary research. And nowadays, the application of computer science also take a key role for any kind of analysis, any kind of monitoring. If you are going to develop a photobioreactor for proper maintaining or controlling bioreactor, the controllers are also required. For that, the computer engineers are required. So that the role of you cannot say that ki I'm doing research in biotechnology, so I'll do research in biotechnology only. If you are taking help from computer engineer, from chemistry people, from agriculture people, then we can produce certain compounds, certain product which are commercially viable. Otherwise, the research will published only. Algae can dry. Oil content can be pressed out with an oil press. Extract 70 to 75%. You can see here 70 to 75% oil can be out from the algae. But when we are using hexane solvent, 95% of oil is produced. And when we are going to, because the research going on supercritical food extraction process, 100% oil can be produced, can be extracted. Not we can say produce, but production in algae, and we are going to extract only. We are just growing algae, and algae contains oil, and we are going to extract. 100% extraction is there. But the selection of these three, the commercial viability is also required. If the last point is expensive equipment. The equipments are, and capital and operational cost is very high. Why we'll go for this 100%? We'll go for 95%. Only 5% difference is there. But when large amount of oil is extracted from the algal cell, then this supercritical food extraction process is far and far better for the commercially viable. Algal environmental bioproducts, in generally I already discussed about. The beautiful thing is, these are the system. Bacteria consumes oxygen and algae releases oxygen. It means when we are working on microbiology and when we are working in algal biology, algal systems are far better than the bacteria. But we cannot ignore bacteria, because without bacteria, a lot of components can be produced only from bacteria. So what can we do? We create a certain system where algae are there and bacteria are there. Oxygens are good for human beings also. And the oxygen supply comes from the algae, and bacteria releases carbon dioxide, which is essential for the algae. So this cycle, the utilization of carbon dioxide and utilization of oxygen going on. Nitrogen and phosphorus is also there. And from both the way, from bacteria as well as algae, biomass is producing. So we can develop a certain system. In the one segment, the algae are producing, in another segment, the bacteria are producing, and from bacteria you can produce certain components. We can produce valuable components from algae also. These are the important thing. A lot of things are there in talking about, but I want to cover some other points also. The flow diagram. Normally, this is the simplest flow diagram of product which are normally being produced. Each and every products are going to be produced. Researchers and the industry persons are also producing such kind of oil, fertilizers like that. But our role is to optimize the process, and that process should be commercially viable. With biotechnology, the major problem is that we are unable to sensitize people, unable to motivate biotechnologists and make biotechnological techniques for the benefit of the society also. So that our focus, awareness is very much important. Very beautiful thing. You all know biogas. Biogas is very successful at a certain extent. After that, it fails only and only because of lack of awareness. We are focusing, we must focusing and developing such kind of bioreactors, biogas, for optimum production of biogas also. Here the algal biomass, nutrients, algal culture production, harvesting, then dewatering. From this discharge water is there, and that discharge water can be recycled also. Then algal culture dewatering, when water removed, then solid will come, then from this solid we can produce biogas or biofertilizers also. biogas from anaerobic digestion process, and after biogas production, the gas will come out and the slurry and solid will come. That slurry from we can produce biofertilizers. Okay. And if we go for the trans-esterification process, the biodiesel can also be produced, glycerol can also be produced. So that researcher can work on biofertilizer, can researcher work on biogas, glycerol production, biodiesel production also. Okay. And the second way of processing is when distillation takes place, then bioethanol can also be produced. And solid separation, the steam and water can also be, power can also be generated. From methane, a lot of energy is there. These are flammable also. The steam can be generated through this steam. MS delta T into M plus M into that kind of Q value will helpful for the running of the turbine, and with the help of the moving of turbine, we can produce electricity and power generation. The coal work to create steam. That steam can be created from methane, can be created from biocoal also. The coal can be replaced by biocoal also, and that biocoal can be produced by the biological processes. And here the discharge and slurry biofertilizer and biomethane and carbon dioxide can be produced by this anaerobic digestion process. These are the three different ways, and each and every ways have its own importance. Now I am going to talk about biofilm reactor system. Biofilm. Just a minute. Biofilm reactor technology for the valuable added products. What is biofilm? Biofilm, we are with the help of the solid matrix, solid support, the microorganisms make a biofilm on the outer surface of that particular component. Just we are talking about biological activated carbon. In activated carbon has capability to absorb the waste. And microorganisms make a film on the outer surface of the activated carbon so that the microorganisms become immobilized and become stable. And the tertiary treatment and secondary treatment both will take place. Biofilm reactor technology will increase the efficacy or importance or strength of the microorganisms, and due to small change in temperature, pH, adversity, the microorganisms can survive when the biofilm reactor biofilm is developed. Normally biofilm is a flock formation, segregation, just like if the microorganisms are segregated, and if any adverse condition is there, the microorganisms comes closer and make a flock. So that it represents the unity of the microorganisms for the safety of itself. This is the basically biofilm. So itself, microorganisms can also create a biofilm. Microorganisms can grow on the outer surface of the solid materials and make a biofilm. And the efficiency of the microorganisms as well as efficacy of the activated carbon both will increase when the biofilm technology will develop. So very biofilm reactor technology, biofilm kinetics. A researcher can work and complete their mathematical modeling and simulation of bioreactor kinetics also. Biofilm kinetics also. So each and every slide can give you an idea for doing a research. And biofilm technology nowadays is very promising and applicable research in biotechnology. Biofilm and biotechnological application, bulk chemical can be produced, production, enzyme, fine chemical, biofuel, electricity, and MFC. A few days back, Sharda University also organized FDP on bioenergy also. And microbial, most of the researchers discussed on microbial fuel cell. And microbial fuel cell, the major disadvantage of microbial fuel cell is the intensity. Being an engineer, being a biotechnologist, our aim is to increase the efficiency of the microbial fuel cell. If we are talking about the research, we can develop a small tube light in form of microbial fuel cell for the villager peoples, to support the villagers, to support the poor peoples. We cannot create a huge amount of electricity with the help of microbial fuel cell, but majority people live in the villages, are poor, so that with the help of microbial fuel cell technology and create a system which can produce basic electricity to the needy peoples. So such kind of technology, the biofilm technology also comes in this sector. And for these technology, packed bed reactor, I'm not talking about packed bed reactor, fluidized bed reactor, airlift reactor, expanded granular bed reactor, membrane aerated biofilm reactor is the very, very important advanced research nowadays in that particular area. Airlift, everybody knows. Packed bed, the packing is there, submerged, and trickle also. Trickling bed reactor is also packed bed reactor. This trickle is trickling bed reactor. Submerged reactor, activated sludge process. Fluidized bed reactor, airlift reactor, bubble column reactor. A lot of reactors and different reactors can be used. But nowadays, the major focus in membrane aerated biofilm reactors to increase the efficiency of the microorganism for the better performance. And with the help of this biofilm reactor technology, volumetric production 100-folds in PBR than the suspended growth. I think it's 100 value, 100-fold, 100 times is very much high. What are the advantages? Continuous operation due to self-immobilization, catalysis of a spectrum, the resistance time of cell independent of fluid phase, biomass is not subjected to wash out also. The important thing is wash out. If in this FDP, if the faculty has know about in the CSTR reactor, the wash out conditions is there. After immobilization, the wash out condition will not come, or will come after more time. It's and it may be removed also. The wash out condition can also be removed also. So these are the important part. And normally the products when we are going to produce any product, the important thing, we must know about the waste. We must know about the characteristics of that particular waste. What kind of compositions are there? From that composition, what valuable products can be produced? Now I am talking about the reactors, not in detail because time is very less. So that the classical different type of reactors are there, and the different type of every reactors have its own importance. But the selection of reactor is important. Here the engineer will come. Role of engineers will come. PBR, trickle bed reactor, PBR, packed bed reactor, fluidized bed reactor, airlift, membrane aerated film reactor, sludge biofilm reactor, solid support membrane aerated biofilm reactor. Being an engineer, being a researcher, you can develop your own reactors also, because what is reactor? Reactor is the vessel in which reactions takes place. You just create your own vessel as per your requirement, as per your knowing the ability or the characteristics of the raw material. And the designing of reactors itself a different research. Electroactive biofilm reactor, here the tertiary treatment also comes, secondary treatment also come. So these are the merger of these two treatment processes. And here the MFC is also there. When using biofilm, the efficacy of the membrane fuel cell will increase. Okay. Biofilm based valuable products, I am showing the exact value what volume of reactors is required for producing dihydroxyacetane by using packed bed reactor. What kind of substrates can be used for making immobilization? What kind of organism will, if organism is this, reactor volume is this, what will be the production? Product concentration is 82 gram per liter. And maximum productivity 88.8, and process time is this 432 hours. Everything is important. We are going to produce very huge amount, but time is high. So that our aim is to reduce the time also. That's why the commercialization will work. And the productivity increment is this. These are the values for different type of products. By changing the reactor configuration, the productivity will change accordingly. And I'm skipping because time is also very constant, and techniques are there. Now I'm talking about PHA production from waste raw material. PHA can also be produced from the waste material, and this PHA is polyhydroxyalkanoate, biodegradable plastic for renewable resources, encourage the alternative of compost plastic derived from petroleum resources. For PHA producing microbial cell, PHA serve as a reverse material for carbon and energy also. And the available raw material for PHA productions, here this is showing cheap nitrogen source for production of active biomass, meat and bone meal, waste lipid, waste stream for biofuel production, surplus hay from this you can produce, lignocellulosic waste itself a different research, starch, material from sugar industry. These are the raw materials which can be used for the production of PHA. Okay. The selection accordingly is also very much important, and the beautiful thing is no carbon dioxide is released. And these are the life cycle of this PHA production. Here the PHA triglycerol, this transesterification glycerol, the fermentation, intracellular PHA inclusion is there. Then the bioplastic PHA can be produced, which is biodegradable also. And with that photosynthesis, crop can be grown, and from crop we can produce plant oils also. This is the complete circulation process. You produce PHA, that produced PHA can be consumed by the plant, and that plant can produce oil, and from oil we can transesterify and all the process. This is the complete life cycle of the bacterial PHA production. It's also a very good chemistry behind this, and chemistry people can better explain all these things. And microbial PHA production from waste lipid crude glycerol. This is the composition from the waste lipid, transesterification, separation, washing, dewatering, biodiesel can be produced. Glycerol separately can be produced, and the produced glycerol, degreasing, demethanolization, the PHA can be produced. Like that, here, the production of PHA, downstream processing, PHA biopolyester, and the residue which contains protein and lipids, which can be used for low quality biodiesel fraction extraction feedback for PHA production, and then it can direct this. This can also be used as a raw material for PHA production. So that during the production of PHA, the byproducts are going to be produced, and that byproducts can also be used for the production of PHA. Complete cycle. The main objective of the waste management is utilizing the waste and converting the wealth, and that waste should be tends to zero waste management. That kind is zero waste management. The role of any industry, each and every waste should be managed. And dairy waste like that, milk, pasteurization, fully fat, skimmed, whey concentration, whey in the lab, I think our BTech students are also working in that particular area. And for the large production, we can go for the biomass growth and the pH. Any kind of biomass can be produced in this whey concentration, no problem. Lignocellulosic research, I think in your earlier FDP, one of my colleague, Dr. Pius, has discussed about the lignocellulosic biomass for PHA production. And the important thing is that the cellulose can be produced, glucose can be produced. From glucose, the biopolyesters can be produced with the help of biotechnological part. And from this alkaline extraction, the lignines are going to be produced. And from lignin, we can produce adhesives also. And if adhesives are byproducts, main products are energy. So from lignin, we are going to produce energy, and adhesives are also produced. And during this plant biomass, the glucose can be extracted, and that glucose can be utilized for this. Extraction of water, the hemicellulose can also become, and by hydrolysis, it converted into pentose, and pentose can also be converted, or will help with the help of certain microorganisms. Biopolyesters can be produced by these methods. Normally, the case study, the integration of refinery from the PHA production. Normally, is the beautiful slide. You can see that sugarcane industry. I mentioned the ton annual production also. Milling, extraction, raw juice, crystallization. From crystallization, the sucrose can be produced. Commercialized sucrose can be produced, and normally from 2,16,000, 2,100, I think, ton per this one. From this, 180 ton per annum commercialized sucrose can be produced. Their values are also there. Sucrose hydrolysis to glucose and fructose. How much amount of glucose and fructose are going to be produced? 30. 2,160, 180 here, 30 there. Then sucrose. From this sucrose can be PHA rich biomass can be produced. Production of a catalytic active biomass can be produced. Steam and electricity can be generated here, because when you are going to extract this sugar cane, juice will come, and the bagasse, from that bagasse, with the help of the combustion, the heat, steam can be generated by burning or combustion. And how much amount of electricity can be produced is also mentioned here. After distillation, we can produce bioethanol also. And then here, higher component, downstream processing, PHA can be produced. These are the path. This one, this one, this one, this one, this, the one way, another way, ethanol and bioethanol, or then processing, the PHA can be produced. These are the complete integrated biorefinery. And everywhere, each and every byproducts or waste are going to be utilized also. This is the normally when I was working with IIT Roorkee and doing research in biologically based activated carbon. I developed a biologically based activated carbon and designed a bioreactor for the wastewater treatment, and published a research paper in Journal of Hazardous Material having impact factor 9 and more than that. It's a pride for me. And during that time, one of my colleagues working on PHA production also. And now he's at Dubai. And he used sugarcane molasses for the production of PHA, and optimized also process in the reactor system. And that products can be commercialized also in that particular extent also. Lignocellulosic biomass for biorefinery, the normal component. I am not talking about this. This slide we should require. From this biomass, biogas or biomethane, biofertilizer, mineral fertilizers can be produced. Food products, pharmaceutical, cosmetic, basic chemicals, polymers, biochar can be used, can be produced. Biosynthetic gases, biohydrogen, synthetic natural gases, bio oil, bioethanol, and biodiesel. These are the source. From biomass, what kind of what are the areas where we can produce components? This biomass is normally, we are talking about lignocellulosic biomass for biorefinery, but any other biomass can also be produced in some of the products also. I summarize all these things. So first generation, second generation, third generation, and fourth generation biofuel. Normally, we are talking about the third generation and fourth generation biofuels also. I think everybody knows about it. And thermochemical and biochemical processing of lignocellulosic biomass. Thermochemical conversion through this combustion, heat and power can be produced. Gasification, hydrogen, alcohol, olefin, glycine, or diesel can be produced. Liquefaction, hydrogen, methane, oil can be produced. From pyrolysis, here no biotechnology is there. Here no biotechnology is there. Chemical engineer and any engineer, mechanical engineer can also work on it. Pyrolysis, hydrogen, olive oil, secondary chemicals can be produced. And if we are going for the biochemical conversion, bioethanol, biodiesel, biobutanol, biomethane, and specific valuable byproducts or chemicals can be produced. These are the flow chart for the production of bioethanol from lignocellulosic biomass. I already discussed about each and everything so that you can better understand what kind of products are going to be produced. Now I will complete my presentation after taking some case studies. These are the, during my PhD work, I got an opportunity to visit these places also. In India, around 300 tanneries producing around 600 million kg of raw skin, and the height per annum MLD, this one solid waste can be produced in Tamil Nadu. The capacity of plant is 5 ton per day. Volume of digester is there 654. Number of digester is 2. And this then methane, how much amount of methane is going to be produced? 2 to 8 meter cube per day. Biogas, how much amount of biogas is going to be produced? 312 meter cube per day. This is commenced in January 2000. Why more and more biotechnological industries are not going to be launched? Due to the lack of awareness among the scientists or researchers. Energy balance, their electricity energy generation from biogas, 700 kg kilowatt per hour. Energy based on biomethanation plants, 250. Lot of electricity can also be produced. Lot of energies can also be produced, are producing in this plant. Just like I'm talking about some sheep and goat shelter annually, lot of waste come from that particular source, also animal husbandry, like that. From that, biogas can be produced 2,600 meter cube per day. Biofertilizers, 7 ton per day, 70% of soil can be utilized for the production of biofertilizer. Why we cannot do work on it? And we can establish our own company for biofertilizer production, biogas production, by consuming or utilizing the sheep and goat shelter. Lot of 15 million cattle and 1 million sheep and goats are being sheltered. It's a very challenging. Is established in Andhra Pradesh. Why not can be established in Uttar Pradesh also? Utilization of fruit, vegetable waste. This is also example. Fruit and vegetable waste can also be utilized, and huge amount of bio gas is going to be produced. Electricity, 2,000 kilowatt per hour per day. I think it's very huge amount. And this where this situated, I think not mentioned. And utilization of bagasse, very good research you can establish. And I'm not talking about research. We can do establish a company utilizing a bagasse, wash water also. Biogas can be generated 14,000 meter cube per day. Gas production, 0.53 meter cube per kg. 1 kg COD, itna 0.52 gram meter cube of gas can be produced. And this is the normally processed gas holder, USB, reactors A and B. Here the engineers will come. But the planning idea, very much important. If you have an idea, you can bring any engineers also. But if no idea, no planning, you cannot do anything. Utilization of mixed municipal waste. So a lot of biogas generate. Biomanures can also be produced. Huge amount of biomanures are going to be produced here. And the next one is cattle dung waste also. Biogas. Normally I know from cattle dung the biogas can be produced. Now I'm here showing each and every source we can produce biogas. So these are the normal mechanism, and from biogas, lot of difficulties are also with biogas. Biogas can be replaced CNG also, but compressing is not possible in case of biogas. That's why the problem arises. So we can establish certain system. We can use biogas in cooking. We can use biogas for production electricity. We can use biogas for the transportation also, and replacement of fuel also, petroleum products also. Lot of things are there, but certain engineering work is also required for doing this. I just going to summarize my presentation in this. Now the main objective of my presentation is how the waste convert into wealth in order to derive economical benefits, as well as to reduce the pressure on the environment, because nowadays a lot of pressure is there, and that pressure should be reduced. And I think I appreciate Sharda University. We collaborate with the National Institute of Disaster Management also. Government agency is there with the help of this NIDM. We can do in that particular directions, and NIDM can give some fund to Sharda University of any other university for doing research in that particular area. I think then such kind of FDP will be beneficial. I need support from government, NIDM government agency. support to Sharda University as well as support to MIT University also for doing research in that particular area. Another point is generation of huge amount of solid liquid waste are going to be produced. It's required to be converted into the waste product, wealth product, so that the important thing is the global waste to energy market value is in 2017 $17,271 million, and nowadays the target is 2025 growing CRG of 6.1% from 2018 to 2025, and projected this one by from this 17,000 to 27,700 million dollar. I think it can be achieved only and only by the help of government agencies for funding. The conventional treatment of these wastewater is energy intensive and expensive in nature that increase economical burden on the industries. In order to overcome this problem, the biotechnological routes to produce the value-added products such as biochemicals, bioenergy, and biofuel from the waste are gaining increased attention, and it can help to reduce the pressure on environment also. I'm going to conclude my talk. Waste should be looked as potential raw material. Waste cannot be neglected. Potential raw material for producing variety of value-added product and energy. Another point is development in bioscience along with the principle of biotechnology and other engineering disciplines should be utilized to harness their potential. I'm talking about the other engineering disciplines also. I'm especially talking about the to nothing, and engineering applications are also required for optimize the system. And the last point is technology for several such processing systems are indigenously available. These are by these words, I would like to conclude my talk, and I hope NIDM will support us for doing research, and in future we'll get fund from that funding agencies also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was such an insightful talk. We won't be able to take much questions from the participants because of time constraint. I hope you understand that. So I will just take one question. That what are the commercial applications of biofuel in India today?
Biofuel, I think nowadays the next coming crisis will be the electricity. And with the help of this traditional source, we cannot produce electricity more. That's why with the help of biofuel or the biomethane or biohydrogen, we can produce electricity which can overcome the crisis of electricity in India also. That's why I'm talking about, because the coal is going to reduce day by day. So that in place of coal, we can generate biocoal. We can generate methane more and more to run the turbine for electricity production. A lot of opportunities are there now, not in the research, in the commercial, and for the benefit of the society also. Because then the next crisis will come, electricity. And that electricity crisis can be overcome by this biofuel, or because biodiesel, diesel and petroleum products are going to reduce by day. So that the next replacement is biodiesel, but Jatropha now failed. So that we can go for the algal biofuel. I just talked about the algal biofuel also. And a lot of opportunities are there for doing research in algal biofuel also. That's why I hope our participants will work on it and do some advanced work for the commercial and optimizing the process also. Thank you, Kanupriya.
Thank you, sir. I request Gaur sir to please to give vote of thanks.
So we have heard am I audible?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your voice is very motivating, sir.
I'm really grateful to Professor R.K. Singh for giving such a wonderful talk on waste matter utilization as well as processing and production of waste products from algae and various other organisms, and also the prospects of producing oil from algae and converting waste producing energy, electricity, everything. It's a wonderful talk Professor Singh has given, a lot of opportunities that he has highlighted. And in fact, I must appreciate his slides. A lot of complicated processes presented there, but I am sure they have been presented in a very lucid manner. And the explanations that he has given are very nice, in fact, and very enlightening. I will really thank him. Of course, the constant of time, of course, is something which perhaps the time for the third lecture is already consumed for the day. So I don't know whether we have this third lecture now or not. That organizers will decide. But I must thank everybody. And in fact, we already had a 5-day FDP on this topic, what we have spoken. And in fact, this is, I can say, a very highlighted summary of that. And it's a kind of recapitulation and reconfirming of the facts also. And I'm sure it's a kind of revision for all of us. And we have all gained from this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Under your able guidance and guidance, every faculty is working very nicely in your university. I think I know Dr. Vilasha, and I heard about a lot about your sir. He always told about what sir is doing very good research in that and motivating us. Really, when I come Delhi, I will meet you.
I don't tell her merits to others so that they don't take her away.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to retain her with us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we have taken the extra time from the organizers, so we will definitely going to enjoy your lecture, sir. Last but not the least, let me introduce our next speaker. It is completely a privilege for me to introduce him, Professor Dr. Etris Gaur, sir. He's a Dean School of Basic Sciences and Research and School of Agriculture in Sharda University. He's an eminent nematologist, teacher, researcher, and manager of higher education institutions. I would like to add one more thing, that he's a very, very good mentor for all of us. He earned his MSc and PhD degrees with Golden Jubilee Medal at Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi in 1975. He was a visiting scientist at Rothmanstead Research, UK, project coordinator, head of the Division of Nematology, Dean Postgraduate School, and Joint Director IERI New Delhi, and Vice Chancellor SVPUAT Meerut before joining Sharda University in November 2017. He has more than 45 years of experience in various areas of agriculture and environment. He helped in establishment of India supported agricultural university in Afghanistan and research institutes in Myanmar and Nigeria. He has over 350 publications to his credit, including 142 research papers, 45 review articles, 9 books, 2 video films. He received several national and international awards and has been president, vice president, chief editor, and fellow of 3 national and 2 international professional societies. So it's been completely a pleasure for us to have your talk, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Kanipriya, in fact, for these nice words that you said. I don't think that I deserve all of them. Some of these achievements, in fact, most of these have been a matter of chance. They have come to my life. And I have tried my level best to come up to expectations of my organizations where I have worked, and tried to serve the science and humanity in my own way. The topic for today I chose, in fact, in relevance to this particular webinar or this workshop for climate change induced pest damage in agriculture. This is something slightly different from the major other majority of the talks, in terms of they have talked about abiotic resources and the constraints and dangers, and some of them have dealt with the abiotic factors also. But I am particularly talking about the pest scenario, the damaging organisms that particularly are also influenced by the climatic factors, various abiotic factors and abiotic factors as a result of that. We all depend on plants, basically, as you know, the life animals depend on plants, and various other human beings also depend on various other animals also, and other microorganisms and different kind of organisms. The whole thing, there's a kind of continuum of biotic to abiotic to biotic, and among biotic also there are different cycles of interdependence. As we know, the ecosystem is not a simple thing. It's a complex of network of all kind of food chains and various kind of decomposition processes, utilization processes, synthetic processes that go on. Dr. Uzma Manzoor has helped me in preparing this lecture. The beetle that you see here is not that big, but its effects are that big actually. You can see it's a very tiny animal, but the effects can be very, very huge. Like you can see the above picture here. See, India today, if you just see as a whole, we are a vast country with about 2.4% of the world's area of arable land, actually, if you just see, and only about 4.2% of the world's water. We have to cater to 17% of the world's population, human population, and about 11 to 12% of the livestock population of the world. They all depend on agriculture for the plant produce and other things from agriculture. We have only 142 million hectares of cultivable area, which has now decreased over time. It's decreasing over time every year due to urbanization, industrialization, other processes, road network, everything. About 60 million hectares of this is irrigated. Rest of depends on rainfall or it's lying dry. We try to take more crops from each unit of land. 138% cropping intensity. That means every field is exploited 50% more than its own area capacity. Still, due to the contribution of the agricultural scientists, farmers, and our administrators, the government, we are number 3 in food grain production in the world. Almost now, this is old data, 17-18, but if you say 19-20 data, we have produced almost 300 million tons of food grain. We are number 2 in rice, just after China. China produces around 140 million tons. We produce 113 million tons or so. About wheat, we are number 2 again. About 100 million tons we produce. Maize also produce quite a lot, around 25 million tons. Coarse cereals, so the sorghum, bajra, and other things that you say, or ragi, we produce 45 million tons. Pulses, we are the largest consumers as well as largest producers. 25 million tons of pulses, food grains, legume grains that we are producing and also consuming. We have oilseed produce. We are now nearly self-sufficient in oilseed production with 33 million tons. And horticulture has made a big way. Big headway here. Around 320 million tons of fruits and vegetables we are producing. We are number 1 in milk production and quite high in egg production also. Around 90 billion eggs we have to produce every year. So this has been possible because of the hard labor that our farmers have done, and because we are exploiting a lot of natural resources that are available to us. India is one of the best countries, in fact, if you say ecologically, the best soil, best water, best climate, but still over the period, the climate has changed and now the things are not the same as they used to be. If you see the population, world population today, this morning's figure, you can say this is 7.798, 7.8 billion population in the world. China's population around 144, you can say, crores. And India's population, you can say 134 crores here. So 138 crores. Today, these are figures, 15. We are just reaching near China, and that is kind of tragedy that we are increasing in population, but our resources are decreasing. And this we have to sustain, but they can be sustained. In fact, we have to be optimistic. They can be sustained provided we manage our natural resources properly and we are wise enough to grow the best crops, follow the best practices, and save our environment. Climate change has caused a big havoc. Pests diseases. The production is one part. We are producing crops and everything, but out of what we produce actually, or what we could produce, nearly, there's a big, huge loss due to the pests and diseases. Only 18% of total yield, in fact, lost due to various kinds of pests and diseases. And of this loss, if you see rodents 15%, insects 20%, various kind of diseases, you can say 20%. You have nematodes 12%, and you have weeds also competing with us. So various kinds of biotic factors and abiotic factors also, they are decreasing our agriculture production, and whatever we are producing, that we are able that is also damaged by these things. And after production, there are a lot of losses in the storage also. If you see just a gram of soil, just 1 gram of soil, you take a pinch of soil from the sea. There's a whole world living there. We are seeing the human beings, but we are seeing the kind of entire world, another world, living in the soil itself. These are nematodes. 1 gram of soil containing all these different kind of nematodes. The big ones you may be afraid of, but basically they are the beneficial ones. The small ones that you are seeing, the tiny ones here that you are seeing, they are the ones which are really harmful. Some of them depend on bacteria and fungus for food, but many of them also infect plants. Some of them are beneficial, they infect insects and they control the insects. But the whole beneficial and harmful nematodes, they live in soil in very, very large numbers, and you can't see with naked eye. You have to use a microscope to see them. The symptoms, as you see in the kind of havoc they do in the fields, if you see this okra field here, the ladyfinger, what you say, bindi, you see this kind of area where there is no crop or very poor crop or poorly growing crop. At the same time, other parts of the field are having relatively better crop. This is because of the difference in the number of nematodes that are living in the soil at different places. More nematodes, less crop, less nematodes, better crop. And this is just a kind of, nobody knows, the farmer will not know what is the reason for this unless the soil is analyzed and seen properly. And these nematodes are increasing in numbers as the climate is changing. The changing climate that is happening becomes more favorable to them because they are living in a congenial condition in the soil, which is not affected so much by the climate, but the crop itself is affected. And indirectly, these nematodes are in fact doing more damage than they could do under optimum conditions. Different kind of nematodes, different kind of symptoms they cause. You see this yellowing of the rice crop. You can see what kind of crop you can expect from this. If you examine the roots, you see these tiny galls, swellings here. You take this, just stain this root and see in the microscope, you find this nematode eggs here, the female and the eggs here. You can see the carrots here. You can see the kind of deformed carrots you find in the market, the pork carrots. They are all due to nematodes. There are some of them only. But there are many, many other nematodes which do not cause any symptoms. And they cause a lot of damage, enormous amount of damage. Not only the little tiny crops, but you see this even hardy trees. This is a pomegranate orchard in Maharashtra. They're growing out pomegranate for export. But nematodes and fungus together, they form a disease complex here, and the pomegranate decline occurs. The quality of, in initial years, the quality of fruit goes down, and then later the plants start declining, they start dying. And this effect is in fact accentuated when climate is changing. The moisture stress or temperatures, high temperatures are there. This effect becomes much more serious. Insects, you can see just last month you have seen this, or even this month you have seen this swarms of locusts all over the North India. You have seen this, this is also an aberration of the climate which promotes these kind of locust swarms. And comes from Eastern Africa, through Pakistan, comes to India, and all this, this is a very periodic situation. Wherever there's a serious, abrupt change in the climate, you find this kind of things happening, and India is at a greater risk actually. If you see this whole scenario of the climate change, a lot of things are happening. The changing of the snow patterns, rains and snow patterns have changed. The animal migrations have changed. The birds have changed. And a lot of different land animals also. There are a lot of migrations happening because of the climates. High temperatures and heat waves due to our industrial also factors also, and our natural regions also are there. Then the our snow is melting on the mountains. There are more droughts and there are fires here and the jungle fires. All over the world, this is happening, And all these are affecting our crops on the ground, and also the oceans. Even under the oceans, you see underwater, there are also the sea animals, and they are all affected. And the changes that may occur due to the melting of this ice, or the you can say the glaciers, the sea level rise will be there, the floods will be there, and when the floods are there, that means there are more other vagaries coming in. At the same time, when there floods are there, river floods and this thing, they take water and a lot of pathogens also along with them to different areas. And then there are winds and storms, and all these, contribute to dispersal. Active dispersal of the pest may be slow, but then passive dispersal due to water and wind can take these pests and diseases transborders from one country to another country, and we will have no control over that, and a lot of damage will occur. If you see this temperature rises, the IPCC, the data you can see, and different organizations are given this data. Particularly 1960 onwards, you can see the 1950-60 onwards. Later half of the 20th century, the temperature started rising, and this industrial revolution coincided with that. And right now it's changing. 2020, you're just seeing it's shooting. The temperature and carbon dioxide both are shooting very high every year. You see the carbon dioxide emissions. Lot of emissions happening due to the various kind of industrial processes, excessive utilization of the natural resources, burning the coal, the forests, and fossil fuels and everything. We are producing a lot of carbon dioxide, and the rate of carbon dioxide production, if you can see in gigatons, it is given in 2016 data. You can see this how much of nearly 34 gigatons we are producing carbon dioxide emissions. The worst to know is the China, you can see the 29%, 29.5%, the US 31.4%. They are the countries that can claim to be most developed, but they are the ones who are really harmed the entire world. 2/3 of the carbon dioxide emissions are from them. India is green, you can see only about 6.8%, but still blamed a lot. You can see the kind of population that we are holding. Per capita, our emission is much less compared to the rest of the world, actually. But then a lot of, even the EU, European, the small place, the small population, but they have about 10% contribution here. You see this climate change, the temperature increases, the carbon dioxide, rainfalls, they become erratic, sometimes more, sometimes less, and the distribution pattern in the year is also affected geographically as well as temporally. Carbon dioxide emission due to this, methane and nitrous oxides, evaporation of groundwater, foliage, and all these human interventions also, they can be, we have to. Some of the changes are due to our activities, human activities that we have seen in the COVID time. We have seen a phenomenal change in our climate. In fact, particularly the air quality you can see. But then this cannot be a permanent feature. We cannot hold COVID for entire to keep us inside and to keep to improve our environment. So we have to have normal life. But this we have to be wise in our normal life. We have to anthropogenic activities. We have to be wise. We have to plan better, and mitigation factors or adaptations that we have to undertake. Global warming, of course, some of the effects I've already talked on animals, on crops, and everywhere you find this pattern. India is one of the countries the most affected. You see, we are in the South Asia. You can see the entire country is the worst affected. Around 15% to 25% losses in crop production can happen due to the global warming in India, actually. So some of the northern regions may be temporarily benefiting. In fact, they may have some benefits right now. But India and many other countries, the red ones you are seeing, red and orange, they are the ones in danger, actually, and a lot of damage is occurring due to climate change. This is one of the IRA studies. In fact, Professor P.K. Agrawal and others, they have shown that just every 1 degree Celsius temperature rise can bring down the yield of wheat one of our major food crops, and soybean and mustard, groundnut, etc., and potato, etc., by 3 to 10% in different crops. This much reduction can occur. And this 1 degree rise, particularly in Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, this can amount to 6 million tons of reduction in wheat yield alone. Just if we say just single crop wheat, what about other crops? We just say similarly. So we may have a loss of around overall around 30 million tons loss in food grains, just if there is 1 degree rise in temperature, and it has already occurred actually some places. Even half degree rise can reduce the yield of wheat by around by about half ton per hectare, then 5 quintals per hectare. Lesser yield we will get. Normally we get around 45 to 50 quintals per hectare, but then 5 quintals we lose around 10% just by half degree rise in temperature. And that too temperature rise in terminal times, particularly in the month of March, April, when temperature rise suddenly, the wheat crop is maturing and the earhead formation, grain filling, etc. They are all affected very badly. We see this here, the carbon dioxide, we see the ambient carbon dioxide, the nitrogen content, the CN ratio is very, very important actually. Here you can see this ambient carbon dioxide, if increase, the nitrogen content goes down, the carbon content goes down, goes up, the CN ratio becomes high, and that reduces the productivity. Of course, that may amount to some carbon sequestration in the soil, but then this will be harmful over the long period. We are not interested just in vegetative growth. We are interested in reproductive growth of the plants also. I will just talk about nematodes, insects, and some pathogens, some of the fungus and bacteria. You see, nematodes are some organisms which are very invasive actually. They have propagule pressure. Everywhere you have large number of nematodes occurring, as I showed you, just 1 gram of soil. A lot of abiotic factors, the moisture, the temperature, the gases, and everything, pH, they all affect nematode populations. And there are a lot of biotic factors also, fungus, bacteria, plants, they are interacting with animals also. And we see this, they cannot disperse very well by themselves. It's active migration, although they move, but active migration is very less, hardly 1 foot in a year. But then human-mediated dispersal is quite high, and at the same time, the storms and floods, they can take them long places. And if you take plants anywhere, the soil anywhere, or the contaminated water anywhere, these nematodes go to different places, and in fact the crops and the soils. They are microscopic in size. They have large numbers they have high fecundity. They can produce large number of eggs, and they have short life cycles of less than 1 month. And every year they can produce 8 to 10 life cycles, and that means they can multiply very fast. They are small in number, and they can survive in many harsh and unfavorable conditions also. And they have an ability to change their sex ratio. In fact, the same organism that was supposed to become a female will become a male if the conditions are adverse, and so on. They can adjust their sex ratio like that. They can overcome the host plant resistance also. We develop varieties of plants resistant to nematodes, but they can overcome. They have mechanism to overcome that resistance in a few generations' time. So all these characteristics are very, very, they make nematodes very serious pests. But at the same time, these are the very characteristics that can also make nematodes very good biological indicators of climate change and as biological models in our systems in biological studies. And a lot of biotechnology research and environmental research, in fact, utilizes nematodes for this kind of studies. Just an example, I'm just showing you the study in the UK, the correlation between temperature and distribution of Longiodorus series nematode. A model was developed and forecasted. The model suggested that this spread is going to increase. The nematode will go towards the northern direction, to northern countries of Europe, if quarantine is not implemented. And on that basis, they made laws, rules, so that the phytosanitary practices, regulations to stop the introduction of the nematodes into their countries. That means embargo on imports of materials which can carry nematodes from other countries. So import embargoes, and that means also commercial loss to those countries where these nematodes already occur. And we are one of these countries. we are a country, with tropical climate, subtropical climate, with lots of different kind of biodiversity of nematodes present, and many of our produce, or from the Eastern world, much of the produce can become unfit for export if the other countries are putting phytosanitary regulations against us on the basis of models, because global warming can, in fact, make these nematodes established in their conditions even settled. Also, carbon dioxide and surface air temperatures, they affect the photosynthesis of the crops, increase the photosynthesis in summers, increased respiration in the winters, and all this, in fact, is creating an amplitude on these seasonal cycles, increasing the amplitude. The variations, the kind of fluctuations, the extremes of temperatures and moistures that you are seeing, that happen to the climate change. It's not only the average change we are concerned about the extremes. If the temperature or carbon dioxide, all of these things, or moisture, they go very high or very low, they are more harmful than slight variation around the mean. So mean, as such, like an average depth of the river, you may think it is 4 feet, but if you cross it, you will be drowned. But at some places, the river is 10 feet deep, not 20 feet deep. So we cannot just play on the averages. We have to see the extremes also. And that is really very, very critical. Nematode community structure is also affected. Nematodes are multi-specific populations they occur. Many different kind of nematodes, as I showed in the beginning. Same habitat, you may find many different kind of nematodes. Some are helping in the mineralization processes, feeding on bacteria and fungus, but some others are feeding on vegetation and other animals. Now, this faunal composition or the population structures, they change at different conditions, different as the temperature rises, or the elevation of the carbon dioxide concentration is changed, or as the organic matter content in the soil, or the rate of decomposition changes because of the global warming and carbon dioxide balances or water balances. Nematodes have impact on microbial biomass and their turnover, because many of them feed on fungus and bacteria. And these fungus and bacteria, they release the nitrogen and factor phosphorus into the soil. And also they are involved in the decomposition process of organic matter, recycling of the organic waste. And this is where nematodes also play a role. So some of them can be beneficial also. But because the diversity, the biodiversity is affecting negatively due to the elevated temperatures, that is a major concern actually. So the beneficial nematodes populations may go down, plant parasitic nematodes may go up because of the higher photosynthetic rates and more food available for nematodes due to the plant parasitic nematodes. The bacterial and fungal feeding nematodes may go down there in their activity, and some of them may get eliminated due to the extremes of their own tolerance. There was an example here, 8 growing seasons. There was 98 species of nematodes were studied at 2 different heights, 1100 meters above sea level and 450 meters above sea level for 8 continuous seasons. So they studied, Recital in 1999, the classical paper here. They studied and they showed that the decrease in the Eudorolamus, Monocerella, which are actually beneficial nematodes. But so the plant parasitic nematodes or the fungal feeding nematodes, they were increased. And the shift was from the bacterial feeding to fungal feeding nematodes. The NPK, the global warming and the application of nitrogen, phosphorus fertilizers and potash fertilizers, they caused a shift in favor of the fungal feeding nematodes or the plant feeding nematodes and decrease in the bacterial feeding nematodes. And it's the bacterial feeding nematodes which are important, And if their numbers go down, that's a bad sign. So there's a shift in the decomposition pathway actually from bacterial to fungal pathway, decomposition process. There are a lot of prediction models. I'm not going to the mathematics here. A lot of equations available for predicting how much temperature increase will cause how much change in the population density of these nematodes, and you can make prediction models on that. And all these, this is another example of the pine wood nematode, the bark beetle and the stem fungi, which are responsible for the death of the pine trees, which are very important in the European conditions. The pine tree is very, very important in northern hemisphere. And all these, due to this, the nematode, the bark beetle, and the stem fungi, they cause more damage They make the trees more susceptible. And that's why the trees are dying in large numbers in the Switzerland and the Rhone Valley and other places. The rice root nematode, rice root knot nematode in India is a serious concern because our food security depends on wheat and rice. And because this nematode, particularly rice root knot nematode, has now widespread. Earlier it was just in some pockets here and there. When I was a student, I used to just hear about it. I didn't really see much damage. But now I find, this damage due to this nematode has increased to many parts of India and many other countries also, like us. And wherever the moisture levels are going down, the temperature is going slightly up. This nematode is really causing devastations, and a lot of reductions in rice yields are happening because of this nematode. And I'm seeing clearly, the kind of adaptation of this nematode to various kind of conditions, from very wet to very dry conditions. This nematode can survive and cause damage to rice. There have been many simulation models about bursal appliances and others. I'm not going into details now here, but they can they can lead to the early insect development and more winter survival, because you can see the cooler winters and hotter summers, and these kind of changes occur. Rise in carbon dioxide levels may also cause reduced nitrogen levels in the leaves of the plants. So the quality of the food that we eat will be poor. We will have less protein, because nitrogen is a constituent of the protein actually. So if we have more carbon dioxide and less nitrogen in the plant system due to this conditions of higher carbon dioxide levels, so our food quality will go down. Nematodes can serve as excellent biological models. I already told you they are herbivores. They can be cultured in large numbers. They have caused a lot of damage also. Over $157 billion worth of damage in 2011 figures. It will be more now. It's a global figure. Over $157 billion loss being caused by just some of the nematodes, not all of them. Some of the nematodes are causing this damage. And there are beneficial nematodes also at the same time. So if we use nematodes as bioindicators of climate change, we can serve both applied nematology as well as the basic nematology, fundamental nematology, to study the climate change in others. This is the North India. This is Delhi. It's a graph which I made long back in 2002. This is 2000 November to June. This temperature I've seen. You see this time here during the winter period. This is the period from say November to February. This is the period which is the pocket or the kind of window in which temperatures are relatively low, nematodes are less active, insects are also less active, and we have a kind of healthy season. We have winter season crops which are less intensity of insects and nematode damages are there. You can have better crops in winter compared to summers where pest densities are much more. Now this window is getting narrower due to this climate change, and you see these arrows here. This window of what we are getting earlier 3 months, now it is reduced to only less than 2 months. So only less than 2 months are available when temperatures are lesser than the critical temperature required for these pathogens. Earlier we used to have a 3 months period or 3.5 months winter, and that used to be a healthy season. Now in the subtropical conditions like North India, that window is getting narrow. That means the favorable period, rest of the period is favorable. The favorable period for the pests, nematodes, and insects is increasing. For the crops, it is decreasing. And at the same time, this window, the warmer period, this is increasing. This is widening due to the climate change, due to the global warming. If you go to the polyhouse, this is an open field condition. But if you go to a polyhouses are the protected cultivation systems. As we say, there were areas now we want insect-free crops and other crops. Nematodes are still there in the soil. The fungus, even if you control insect entry from outside, there will be some insects multiplying inside. Even that, if you control the nematodes inside the soil here, they were unseen, and they can cause a lot of damage. You can see this crop. The crop starts maturing, starts producing fruit, the plant starts dying, and the farmer is lost. Entire crop, almost entire crop can be lost. The damage can be much more serious in the polyhouse compared to the field conditions. Now this is a kind of comparison here. The polyhouse is a kind of greenhouse basically, and second greenhouse is a kind of simulation of the global warming. More carbon dioxide, high temperatures, continuous availability of food. So this is what global warming is. If you use this as a model, compare with an open field, you have a research model available here for climate change study. And nematodes and insects, they can be good biological control systems as well as biocontrol or biological models, I can say biological models for predicting how much change can occur. And all this can be related in terms of this. You see the polyhouse conditions, the population growth occurs very fast rate. In open field, it also grows slightly less. So this differential can give you an indication of the climate change, and you can relate to how much damage will occur, how much increase in populations will occur. And if you just take a reverse engineering of that, you can say now how much this much change in nematodes has occurred. That means this much is the change in the climate. So just you can say correlate in different ways the critical degree hours of this centigrade degree hours per day above a particular basal. So that they give the idea, and you can have mathematical models on that. Nematodes in short terms, they have adaptations, they have modified hatching behavior, they have modified molting behavior. I'm sorry, the spelling is wrong. Molting behavior, rate of reproduction is high. They can change this, sex ratios they can change. Duration of life cycle can be adjusted. Seasonal oscillations and the populations, as you see here. Different nematodes behave differently. The three nematodes here, my own study here, long back I did it. Tyloncuricus, you see this yellow, Praetulencus, Rhodolencus, the three nematodes in the same soil, same field. The population density of all three are high during September, October, August, October. But if you see, they go to winter seasons, this nematode, Rhodolencus, is still high. Others go down, but this remains high. So this is how the different species behave differently, and they can be, very good models for research also, besides applied aspects. The long-term adaptations over generations, because they have 10 to 12 generations per year, as I told you, many of them even more generations, and they can have over generations the kind of DNA changes or the adaptations. The distribution is modified. The DNA is also modified. They have selection pressures over them, and then new races and pathogen types are formed or emerged. The food habits may also change. They start eating or feeding on other crops on which earlier they were not feeding. The structural changes occur in their nematode's body, and modified species composition, where we find these 20 species, another time I may find different species there. Similar effects also occur on insects. Shifts in species distribution range, change in the phenology or in relation to the climate, increase in population growth rates, increase in number of generations, migratory behaviors changes, emergence of insect of new pests and biotypes. You can see the similar kind of things. As nematodes, insects also have similar kind of things. Their feeding habits also change. So this is also, you can say, biological system. So but insects are larger in size and difficult to manage. Nematodes can be much easier to manage. So they can be better biological models for climate change studies. You can see this increasing temperatures in insects, they cause northward migrations, migration to the elevated gradients, insect development rates, ovipositions, potential insect outbreaks may occur. There's invasive species introductions. Effectiveness of the insect biocontrol by fungi, reliability of economic threshold levels, insect diversity and ecosystems, the parasitism of the beneficial insects, the insect parasites or parasitoids, that parasitism goes down actually. So these are the decreases. I can say the beneficial effects, the biocontrol effects, they are decreasing, but the increasing of these populations of harmful insects, that can become common. You can see the effect of carbon dioxide, increasing the food consumption by caterpillars, reproduction of the aphids is more. With wind also aphids may come, temperature also favors them, moisture favors them. Prediction of lady beetles, carbon-based plant defense systems, they all go up actually. and effect of Fourier applications on disturbance. The effects, they may go up actually here, maybe something better, but then there are decreases in the insect developmental rates, response to alarms by the pheromones, the parasitism of the beneficial ones goes down, nitrogen-based plant defenses go down, and the effects of transgenic BT, that also goes down. Rainfall also affects insects in a bad way, actually. Distribution and frequency of rains, they also affect the occurrence and dynamics of the insects. Relative humidity also controls, with high humidity or low humidity. There are specific kinds of insects, they may go up or high. Lower relative humidity favors locusts and others, where high humidity favors aphids and other things. So you can see shift in the species distribution, the ranges of the dispersal and distribution, they may change. And this has been observed. Migration changes more towards the, as they go, because the tropical system, they become more hot, they may shift to the better optimum conditions. So northward migrations may occur actually. So every 1 degree Celsius temperature change here can in fact induce the migration of 14 species, 14 Lepidopter species into England. This was a study not long back done, but then 2007. But Lepidopteran are the massive serious pests, the moths, and we find different kind of moths. They are causing damage to crops, and they're very serious pests. Many different kind of biotypes occur, particularly white flies. They're carriers of viruses, the aphids, the jacids, different kind of transmitters of viruses. There are a lot of biotype emergence occurs. Different insect pests also, the cotton bollworm and others, biotypes are occurring, resistance biotypes are occurring. And this it's all happening and accentuated. It may occur in nature directly also, naturally also occurs. But this process of global warming and carbon dioxide and moisture changes, they're accentuated that, because on them also there's a survival pressure or the on that, so that's why they are also modifying their genetic potentials. In fact, all the natural enemies get decreased many times, their effects. If you see this study here, the egg predator, in fact, the infectivity went up to 32 degrees, but at temperature went above 32, up to 35. There was a drastic reduction in the handling time for the insects and therefore for the attack rates. So this is how the temperature, even the beneficial insects that we have here, they also their effects may be modified. There is a kind of asynchrony that develops between the host and the parasite. Asynchrony means the synchronization is lost if the temperatures and moisture conditions are not the same to which they are adapted normally. Different diseases, if you see any disease, in fact, affects also pathogen, environment, and host is a triangle which affects. And all the, the pathogen, environment, and host, all the diseases are affected because of the temperature, moisture, and carbon dioxide. These are the basic things which are taken in the environment and climate. Of course, there are other factors also. But all these factors are affected. That means the disease is also influenced, and it may be, changed. So many of these pathogens, I'm not going to details here. Time is short. The wheat and oat pathogens, wheat and oats become more susceptible to the pathogens due to the increase in temperatures. The rust diseases, they causing in the wheat, they become more serious, and like that, many fungi, bacteria, they become serious. Many mathematical models have been useful for forecasting plant disease epidemics, and they are based on the increase in pathogen growth and infection within the specified temperature ranges. Now, these ranges have changed, because the models that were developed earlier, they were made for particular ranges that were known for those insects and pathogens and bacteria and nematodes. But now all those ranges have changed. So that means all those models have to be modified. So this is very, very important. We cannot use the old mathematical models in the present scenario where the ranges of their tolerance and the occurrence of these factors both have changed. So the temperate climate zones, they include the seasons and cold average temperatures, are likely to experience longer periods of higher temperatures, which are suitable for group of pathogens which were earlier not there. You see, in the cooler regions, Earlier, they were, as I told about the winters, cooler regions, some of the pathogens were not finding enough time for multiplying there. But now, because the warmer conditions will be available, they will be able to multiply, and you may have more serious problems of these organisms, and when the temperatures are higher, and they get a larger, wider season window to multiply. The onset of warm temperatures can result in the earlier threats from late blights and the potential like that in epidemics and different things. And the effect of fungicides will also be changed. We'll have to apply more fungicide, more insecticides like that in different types. Similarly, the moisture also affects. I'm not going into details again. Apple scabs, late blight, the several vegetable diseases, they all get increased moisture, and when increased moisture favors them. Leaf wetness, the canopy areas, and all these, they are modifying the kind of conditions. The canopy condition, the ecosystem or the microclimate in the canopy, that changes due to the changes in humidity and temperature and carbon dioxide levels. That means the climatic condition in the microclimatic condition that is available in the plant canopy, that is modified, and that favors different kind of fungi and bacteria and viruses that were normally not so serious in those plants. So similarly, carbon dioxide is affecting these. What we have to do actually, we have to follow integrated pest management systems. Basically, we don't have to depend only on pesticides or nematicides or insecticides, herbicides or fungicides or bactericides or viricides. All these, there are so many sites, so many, they are all biotoxic chemicals. We don't have to depend so much on that. We have to reduce our dependence on these kind of things. The regulatory measures we have to follow host resistance. The best method is to have non-host crops among those or the resistant varieties of crops we should try to use. We should have regulatory methods to control their entry of the pests and pathogens, and also to see that they are not imported from other countries or other areas, one area to other area. Even in a country like India, there are many pathogens which are serious in South India but not in North, and vice versa. So we have to have some kind of barriers in movement of these kind of infected materials or these pests and pathogens. Many cultural practices, because the farmers are doing the plowing, the tilling, the preparation of land, organic manures, and all those, conservation agriculture. All these cultural practices play a great role in modifying the microclimate in the system, and that in fact is able to manage some of these effects and some of these pests and keep them under check, not allow them to go beyond certain population densities. And in that sense, the cultural practices play a great role actually, and this is the primary level where we have to attack the pests and pathogens. Then there, of course, when you go to control, our preference has to be for biological control methods. First, we have many parasitoids, bacteria, fungus, and even nematodes, and some of them. They can use as biocontrol agents, and we have to increase their dependence on them actually, and avoid the use of the harmful pesticides as much as possible. Go for organic farming, which can help in this manner. Carbon sequestration, waste management also, as well as in reducing the impact of the climate change. There are various other methods also available, the botanical pesticides, the plant products which can be used as pesticides. And then, of course, last resort is chemical control. But in chemical control, again, there is a lot of research going on and has to occur on finding better molecules which can have more specific effects on particular organisms, and not the broad spectrum chemicals. Also, their quantities should be less. In lesser quantity, they should be effective. Use of nanotechnology is coming in a big way here to have better formulations of pesticides. And so we have to use pesticides in a judicious manner, wherever required, with the best time and opportunities, and use other technologies to increase their efficacy and try to reduce our dependence on these. Climate change has to be managed. We can see that all these pesticide effects, because of these crop canopy changes, they may not be as effective as earlier. So we have to have more cautious there. I'm not going again here, but the green manuring, crop rotation, intercropping, mulching, organic amendments, they have got greater significance, particularly in the changing climate change situation. When the climate is changing, this earlier method, the previous method, they are the practices of our ancient farmers. Practices of our ancient farmers if you see the Vedas, Atharvaveda, Rigveda, you find these kind of mentions of these kind of practices, and they were done earlier. But over time, we had more dependence on mineral fertilizers, pesticides, others. So although we increase our production multifold, but those problems also came. So we have to balance in between. Actually, I'm not against pesticides or fertilizers totally, but we have to balance. Now, somewhere we have gone the other extreme mode. So we have to come back a little bit and have a kind of balancing, have a better utilization of these old practices also, and then utilize these new practices wherever necessary. So not just that we give up all these beneficial practices and go back. So all these will help in carbon sequestration also. Well, see, conservation agriculture is something which is a term which is used nowadays very much. This basically involves maintenance of the permanent or semi-permanent soil cover. We should not leave our soil uncovered. Actually, either it should be covered with some plantation or algae or whatever, or some grasses or crops. We should not leave it barren. So that is causing greater harms actually, and also crop residues, which are the previous crops, they should be put back into the soil. Not the practice of burning the rice residues or the wheat residue that farmers are doing these days, also polluting the environment. This practice has to stop. As much as possible, you see, soil is like a bank, as I said earlier. Soil is like a bank. Whatever you put in, you harvest from that. And if you don't deposit anything, what you are going to extract, what you are going to get back from it. So you have to put maximum so useful part of the crop you take. The waste, what you call waste, is actually not a waste, it's a raw material again for improving the soil fertility. So either you recycle it by various processes, use it in microbial processes, extract energy or whatever byproducts you can get, or if you cannot use it, at least put it back into the soil. So if you put it back, you are replenishing some of the minerals and other things, organic carbon that you are taking out. The soil there should be minimal disturbance. The tillage, what we are doing used to normal tillage, the tractor tillage, others, this has to be reduced. Minimum disturbance, minimum tillage we should follow. Crop rotations, they should include legumes in that, particularly nitrogen fixing crops. And so they are something which we should include. We should not have only cereal-based cropping systems. In fact, the conservation agriculture utilizes green manures, green covers. This is important. Residue covers, mulching, non-burning of the soil crop residues, integrated disease and pest management, controlled and limited human and mechanical traffic over the agricultural soils. So all these greenhouse gas emissions, they have to be reduced. Fossil fuel use has to be reduced as much as possible. I just conclude this by saying that climate change underlines the importance of sustainable agricultural production systems. The more stable an agricultural system, the better it is to cope with the additional stress factors that are induced by the climate change. It is important to keep ahead of the undesirable pests and pathogen adaptations because they are also adapted. Just like we have our research institutes, or pests and pathogens also have their miniature research institutes, maybe more effective than us. They are able to adapt more quicker than we human beings do actually. So hence we must carefully consider climate change for planning our research and development efforts. Also need of the hour is to assess the efficacy of the various pests and management technologies under diverse environmental conditions. Because our technologies that we have developed earlier, they were for a particular agroclimatic condition, but now the climatic conditions have changed. So we have to test our technologies and maybe improve them to suit to the present conditions and also for the future. We know that climate change is a thing to persist. which is going to remain on the earth for a long time unless we are very wise. Human population pressure is increasing, so we cannot just avoid, we cannot wish away climate change. We cannot even natural or anthropogenic activities, we cannot just wish away. So we have to be prepared for it. So we have to have mitigation strategies. We have to have adaptations. We have to have newer technologies or select the best technologies for our situations. I must thank all of you for your patience listening. I have taken a little more time, but I thought it is important for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your precious time. There is one question from the participant side, sir.
Yes.
That how will climate change affect mycotoxins in crops?
Can you repeat it, please? How will climate change affect neuro?
How mycotoxins? How will climate change affect mycotoxins in crops?
Mycotoxins, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Mycotoxins, the toxins from the fungi.
Yes,
You mean
sir.
you mean that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. In fact, because like I told, the system is changing from the bacterial to fungal systems, so it will support the fungi, and the such fungi also which are producing mycotoxins will also be increased. So in fact, the higher temperatures may increase the effect of those toxins and also the production of those toxins in the fungi, because such fungi may be promoted in relation to the bacteria.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I think Ashish sir is there to pay you thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I think he disconnected.
Okay. You
Okay,
say
sir, on
my
behalf of all the organizing team.
you communicate my thanks to him.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
But on the behalf of all the organizing team and part of Ashish sir also, I thank for your time, sir, and for your presence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kanu, and thanks to all the participants for their patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now there's a announcement for all the participants. Tomorrow our session will going to start at 9:30. We'll have our first speaker, Dr. Suman, will be there to present her talk. So we'll see you tomorrow at 9:30. I request all the participants to please connect 10 minutes before the session. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presence. Okay.
हेलो
Yes, sir.
हाँ कनुप्रिया जी गौर साहब हैं
Sir, I think God sir left. Let me see.
एक्चुअली मुझे अनम्यूट करना था आप लोगों ने वो किया नहीं
I think he has left, sir.
अच्छा चलिए कोई नहीं थैंक यू आई
Thank
थैंक
you
ऑल
so
द
much.
स्पीकर्स टुडे हैं ओके थैंक यू
I think all the speakers has left, sir.
ओके थैंक यू गॉड ब्लेस
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.